new era for American cricket began in 2021.
There he goes into a dive! What a catch!
The rise of cricket was celebrated across the country. Now, with big wickets and even bigger hits, the stars of minor league cricket are back and better than ever.
Primus goes huge!
Don't miss the nation's largest league competing for the biggest prize in American cricket. The Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship returns June 25th.
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.
Ideally, the ball's supposed to swing when there's a cloud cover. Not on that occasion. Just hits it through the line. Extension of arms and the ball travels the distance. Yeah, there's slip in place. Agarkar looking for that outswing that he's known for. Pitches it up again. That's in the gap too. This one kissing the carpet of grass. Just got to love this. One over the top, one down the ground. The coaching manual's taken care of.
Yeah, and a quick correction there is Dale Phillips on both of those boundaries there. Clark getting off the mark with a single on the first ball off of Rushil Ugarkar here. This Kiwi connection, this is their third match together as the opening batsman, Clark and Phillips, and so far it has seemed to be a better answer. They had their issues with Harpreet at the top this season. They've moved him down a little bit. So far a 40 and an 84 not out for Phillips as an opener.
Fantastic shot. Extension once again, just creates the room that he wants. Unmukh Chand realizes he's missing the services of Saurabh Netravalkar, and that start to hurt him right away because momentum is with the Kiwi couple in the middle.
Yeah, Saurabh Netravalkar, one of three players rotated out due to, well, basically not being in the country right now. Saurabh Netravalkar along with Roshan Primus and Raymond Reefer. And so you think about what the power play bowling has looked like the last handful of matches for Silicon Valley Strikers. The cupboard's a little bare in that respect. The only person in the team that has been bowling in the power play the last couple of weeks is Pranay Suri. Ugarkar, a little bit of a false start on that one. Phillips still on strike. 3 boundaries on the trot for him. That one guided to third man and admittedly spiked into the ground, but too late to take a run off the misfield there. 1 ball left in the over.
Yeah, Dale Phillips, he knows that he's got the runs that he required in the over. So much so that he's pushed Unmukh Chand on the back foot. Protection in the deep in the shape of a sweeper. Oh, just lets it go. This is a perfect delivery too. It'll tease the outside edge had he offered a shot.
Well, certainly taking advantage of potentially some swing on offer under the current conditions. And we don't have Netravalkar or Reefer to take advantage of it, but the youngster Ugarkar looking to get it done here.
Yeah, 15 for no loss.
1, 2, 3.
Interestingly for him, the Silicon Valley Strikers, they won the toss and decided to bowl first, as much as it is of a surface's call. Unmukh Chand looked up as well and looked at the sky to decide that he's going to bowl first. A quick single. The throw did not come in. Frustration. The keeper is not happy either. The keeper thought his end would have been a better end to throw at, but not really.
That decision to bowl first today, the first time all season that Silicon Valley have made that decision upon winning the toss. They haven't gotten to make the decision very frequently as of late. That's the first toss they've won in 6 matches. But Unmukh Chand, as you said, with the current weather conditions and the swing on offer from somebody like a Kulvinder Singh, opting for a bowl to begin today's match.
And Kulvinder Singh strikes. A shot that's one of Dale's favourites. That's caused his demise as the ball sneaks through, and it's never a good sign for a batter when only 2 stumps stand.
Well, that one looked like it had a bit of motion to it there, diving in perhaps from an initial fourth stump line all the way to middle stump. Kulvinder Singh really does swing it with that left arm like few other bowlers here in minor league cricket.
Kulvinder Singh knew that he has to step up with the senior pro, gone for national duty, and he delivers. It was much required for Silicon Valley strikers because of the way the first over started. Agarkar, the youngster, was under pressure right away with a flurry of boundaries. Something had to be in the pocket for Silicon Valley strikers, and that is momentum. Very good wicket indeed, and they'll do a world of good to the confidence of Kulvinder Singh.
Well, and so as we talked a little bit last week as well about just the tendency for Silicon Valley to have a new hero just about every time out. And when Netravalkar was out of the country on international duty at the T20 qualifiers, the same sort of thing happened with Reefer and Singh stepping into that role. Of course, this time missing a little bit more than they were then, but still able to lean on somebody like Kulvinder Singh, all that experience, 39 years old, and with a fantastic playoff run already under his belt here in minor league cricket, looking to punch Silicon Valley's ticket again.
And this one slipped out of his hand. Luckily, it didn't go to the boundary. Rajveer Khosa, someone who's extremely aggressive, but looks like he gets a full toss first up, but doesn't put it away.
Khosa selected last year in the minor league cricket draft, but never did suit up for SoCal in-game action. This just his third innings of the season, 45 runs off 47 balls.
Khosa gets off the mark and he's just eased it into the gap. He's trusting the outfield too much. The outfield did do its bit, but perhaps it needed a little bit more Sunoko to get to the boundary.
And we'll see here a potential for the outfield to provide a little bit of assistance to balls skipping along. Definitely a bit dewy here early in the morning in Morgan Hill before the heat comes around.
You realize that the commentators are sitting for a while, so we sort of warm up too. And when we did that, we realized that Joe's shoes vamp was absolutely wet, and that's how he figured out. Oh, this one kept low. Well done. Keeper Jariwala puts his left hand to it, even though that bounced as much as Khosa's ankle. I'll tell you about Khosa is a tall man as well. Very difficult to negotiate when the ball doesn't bounce.
Well, and for Jariwala there, a nice stab to the side. Looked like somebody picking up a short hop at shortstop, which would not be out of character for him. Coming to us from Irvington High School, where he started in that position.
Glorious shot. Oh, this one's so pleasing to the eye. Khosa's almost looking at Katani and asking, why are you even running? I know it's going for four.
A gorgeous cover drive there to end the over with a boundary, a costly one, with Dale Phillips dismissed at 16 for 1, now 22 for 1.
Okay.
Nice now. He's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah. Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom.
Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Fun. Steams in and troubles the batter right away. This is what you get with Irfan. It's not a regular action. And he's going to generate that extra bit of bounce. Courtesy, he's vertically blessed. And you give him a cloud cover on a surface which is a little tricky and keeping low at times. This is brewing to be a contest to watch out for. It's not going to be a batter's paradise, mind you. It's just that Dale Phillips, he rolls his own wickets and he comes out with it when he bats. That's why he was able to hit through the line without trusting the pitch much. No, Katani gets one. Another with extra bounce. Mohammad Irfan.
So far, the Silicon Valley opening bowler is able to trouble Katane Clark and already, of course, dismissed Dale Phillips. That ball is coming from way up in the air with Mohammad Irfan, and certainly getting some good ping off the surface. Clark even getting to that one had to reach up a little bit for it.
So just in 1 over for Agarkar, he goes for runs and Unmuk Chand decides to stop him. There's a wall on the offside here. Mohammad Irfan is bowling according to a plan here. Mohammad Irfan's been an addition that was done very early. It just tells you that now he's come back into the side. The only thing that I'll be watching out for, apart from his skill, of course, the skill is going to be there for everybody to see, is the fact that how well he gels with the bowling lineup that Silicon Valley strikers have. Oh, perfect. And it's heartwarming. It's heartwarming for someone like Jariwala to be collecting it the Aussie way and at that height.
The only thing you got to watch out for is if he does pull that length back, you might be leaping to snag one because he's getting some good bounce off the surface. Irfan here, no surprise to see him used early. This is just his 10th over of the season, as he was part of the team early on in the year, but half of those overs so far have been inside the power play, where he's given up 27 runs for an economy of 6.75.
And then that extra bit of bounce. No ball though. Extra bit of bounce is all right, but extra inches while your front foot lands? I don't think so. It's got to be a free hit as well. A free hit which Khosa will not complain.
I'd have to imagine when you're approaching on what amount to stilts, it's not a hard thing to occasionally overstep that boundary, or that crease line, rather.
Unmuk Chand has a word with the bowler. That's because the single's been taken, mind you, so the field is allowed to change for the free hit. A free hit is when many forms of getting a batter out is suspended. And that is exactly why, because that single was taken and a new batter is on strike, the slip has been taken away. Usually in cricket, don't forget, a slip comes in when the new batter comes on. Here, when we mean the new batter, it's the one who didn't face the ball, which was called no ball.
Yeah, just for those new to this, remind me, it's stumping and run out are pretty much the main ones that could happen here. Everything else largely suspended.
Irfan Jr. is asking, what's the fuss? It was always about my front foot not misbehaving. I was getting the other end covered. He's just bouncing the batters out of equation, and Khosa is one of the tallest you can find.
The nice thing there, of course, keeps it from being a wide.
Oh, yeah.
When you've got somebody at that end with that kind of height, but certainly making the batters uncomfortable. And the only decent-looking hit we've seen was an edge back to third man.
It's played it with soft hands. That's the right thing to do, especially when the ball's moving a little bit. Extra bounce, some swing. This is turning out to be a contest to watch out for. Into the third. 24 for 1. Mine's 20.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
An unpleasant angle to look at. Maybe a dislocation.
As soon as you see someone in form walk off like that, and you don't know if they're going to be back in the game, if the finger's going to be pulled back into place, you're thinking a stop order batters as well. We're going to do our job better today. The Suns playing hide and seek, Joe. And you seem to quite enjoy it because we have a tent.
Yeah, trying to avoid ending up with a roasted fillet of commentator like we did last weekend here at Morgan Hill.
I'll tell you what, viewers. Oh, he's coming back for the second. A little bit of a fumble. That's all it took. This is proactive running. And Katney Clark helps out with a fielding effort as well. Not as much when you're trying to take his own catch, but otherwise he will.
I might have had a shot at some overthrows there if it hadn't plunked him.
Just those minute seconds for Silicon Valley strikers where they realize there are 11 men in blue and 1 turned up in red to field for them. Very good delivery. It's moving a little bit, the ball. The cloud cover is also going away. This pitch will get better to bat on.
It's worth noting, too, directly overhead, there's still a decent bit of cloud cover, and that's the sort of thing that may have also influenced Gary not being able to follow that ball as it came down out of the sky.
Rolls his arm over it. And Khosa will have to stick to a single, and well, Khosa, someone who's considering a single run as 4 strides, sticks to a single, that means it's a very good throw indeed. 30 for 1.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Katney Clark's moved on to 6. He's done a lot of... He's faced 10 balls and he's done a bit of fielding. Dale Phillips, 14 of 6. Rajiv Khosa, run a ball 9 for Rajveer, and just looking to break free. We've all seen Rajveer bat the way that he usually does. He owns the leg side. He's got the power as well to sort of put the same delivery behind square leg and to mid-wicket. That's the range. With Mohammad Irfan, you're just playing tennis with somebody trying to moonball you.
That is about the best description I've heard of where it's coming from him. It absolutely looks like a serve.
He makes you feel as if he's playing in Zimbabwe. The spongy bounce only when he bowls. We've got some tall bowlers ball again, and with that unorthodox action, it's something that the batter needs to get used to. And tell you what, in T20 cricket, you just don't have the time to get used to. Oh, it's a no ball. It's a no ball, and it's going to be a free hit again. Mohammad Irfan Jr. is troubling the batter when the ball comes out of the hand, all right. But the leg is not cooperating.
Yet again, struggling to find his calibration on that. But getting back to your point about the action in particular, it really does feel, even watching it from here, where it's not coming at me, it has that feeling of, oh, now it's out. Just very rapid rotation around the shoulder at the end of that action. Reminds me a little bit of Sohail Tanvir in that respect. And yeah, just coming out of an unexpected place a little bit and roughly half a second sooner than you're anticipating.
Oh, beautifully done. Would have got a hand to it, the fielder at point, but still the ball will travel. I'll tell you what, had this not been a free hit, he still would have gone for it. It's one of his favorite strokes when he has room.
Hear cries of anguish coming from the wives of Unmukt Chand and Shahan Jayasuriya who are usually at this spot just to our side, currently stationed at long off. Absolute fixtures here at the park, and never a dull moment around them.
Oh yeah, as commentators, you get a lot of analysis from them as well, talking about the outfield, chirping a thing or two to the skipper.
Yeah, I'm sure right now they're not fans of the dew.
Oh yes. Mohammad Irfan can also be a skiddy customer, isn't it, Joe?
Well, that variable bounce, of course, can, especially when you have to prepare for the one that's going to come up at roughly your clavicles, just takes one to surprise you.
No, he's just tried his best to curb that extra bounce and go through with it. Perhaps Khosa would be better served doing that, because he's got that additional height too. At the moment, Mohammad Irfan Jr., you could sense that he doesn't want the ball to go to the outfield. Doesn't want a wet ball to be bowling the next one. No slip in place. Very well kept. Rahul Jariwala is not crouching as he usually does. He knows he's got more balls to collect over his head and onto his chest.
That one perhaps a little marginal, another one of those balls that if he bowls that to Katene Clark, probably a wide over his helmet. Bowls it to Rajvir Khosa and you're okay. And I think that was right on the line. We saw some eyes darting back and forth between our two umpires to make sure that the height was okay on that.
Now watching the ball to the last moment and deciding to play it with soft hands. Khosa's changing plans now. 37 for 1.
1, 2, 3.
Spin rather into the attack as Srinivas Raghavan, one of the players in place of Netravalkar, Primus and Reefer. We've also seen already Mohammad Irfan Jr. obviously, and as well back in the team Dev Thadani. But Srini will be the first look at some spin coming at you from the Barrett Avenue end, and he will be facing off with Katene Clark to get things started here. A bit of a below par, at least for these the SoCal Lashings power play thus far, a team that averages roughly 50 runs and maybe a wicket or two lost. Scoring a bit below that rate, but looking to get right here as the first delivery is put away to point by Katene Clark. Nice cut shot that will run away to the boundary for 4.
Katene is blooming. That's just the kind of start that SoCal Lashings wanted for Katene. Might be a little late in the tournament, but him in form is always a treat to watch. I'll tell you what, all the viewers, I'm sitting alongside a Kiwi fan who's trying to suppress his emotions and be as neutral as possible. Oh, he's done it again. It's just that the manner in which the ball's gone, that's different, not the result.
It's actually rather helpful having the Kiwi at one end and then the hometown team facing off against him. It actually does drag me a bit closer to completely emotionally neutral about it.
Just to check your stoicism, Joe, there is Greg Hay and Marty Kane on the ground alongside for Surf Riders playing the Seattle Thunderbolts.
There's a chance for a quick single to throw down to the keeper's end, and Jariwala sweeps it down, but Khosa in safely home. 9 so far off the first 3 balls of the over.
Pressure on Srinivas and Raghavan right away. Just no breathing space whatsoever. A couple of boundaries put away earlier. The over belongs to the batter.
If it weren't for the fact that we're going to get to see them 2 more times, I'd be bummed out that Dale Phillips is already gone, because I was watching his brother on Friday morning on TV. Now I got him running around in front of me today. Dot ball to Khosa. Clark, really an exciting young player over there at the non-strikers end, 22 years old, and already has had a match-deciding knock, as that one just does dance around the bat of Hossa, safely into the gloves of Jadiwala, but without a touch, according to our umpire.
Much better from Srinivas Ragavan. The first time we've seen Hossa troubled, and it's by spin. I hope Unmukt has made a mental note.
It's 3 dots to end the over, just as Irfan had 4 dots to end the last one.
Oh, okay.
That'll be the power play done and dusted, 46 for 1.
My son, he's so soft-spoken.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom.
Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Fielding restrictions lifted. It'll be Dev Thadani coming at you from the San Pedro end. Bowling first at Katane Clark over at the strikers end, which always sounds a little funny when you're facing the strikers. But Thadani so far on the season to date has been a useful man in the middle overs. He's bowled a little bit at the death, but 18 overs so far on the season, 10 wickets taken. 138 runs conceded, that economy sitting at about 7.6, striking once every 11 balls.
Another chance for the youngster to prove his mettle.
First delivery of the over is poked to extra cover. That'll be a quick single and get Hossa back on strike.
Dev Thadani getting extra bounce as well. And with bounces from length, it's not an easy track at all. Dev Thadani is again a very skiddy customer, loves to bowl a heavy ball. Before the minor league started, we'll get back to it in a bit.
That one's going to catch the outside edge of the bat, looking to take the quick single. Throw is down to the non-striker's end, wide of the mark. Hossa will stay put there, though, a single. Second one running.
Yeah, before the minor league began, it picked up 8 wickets in an NCCA game. 8 out of 10 belonged to Thadani. And the manner in which he went on to pick up those 8 wickets was absolutely mind-boggling. A pacer trying to bowl slower deliveries, and the batter is expecting a slower delivery. He bowls even slower, and one quick one. All of them granted wickets.
Thadani also valuable for his work in the field and looking to combine those two there as he races out to hold Katane Clark to his crease. A dot ball there.
Joe, isn't a bowler the best fielder of his own bowling? Settle that debate, come on.
I'm sure they think so. Thadani, somebody who induces a lot of false shots, 31% of his deliveries resulting in edges or misses, much like that one, as Katane Clark tries to scoot forward, looking to bring that maybe a little bit more into his arc, and instead it winds up still up at chest height.
Imagine if Thadani can get it to chest height. Jadiwala will soon find himself as a keeper who's masquerading as a long stop when someone like Irfan's going to bowl.
Yeah, Thadani certainly not with the grace of altitude that Irfan has. That time Clark drills it, and that is just over the leap of the man at mid-wicket, Zahid Zakhail. Might have needed a little more Sunoco in the Rockets in order to get up to that one, but briefly looked like a resounding 6 and then like a chance.
Again, all I would want to say is that Mohammad Irfan said slightly wide long off, not a deep mid-wicket. Otherwise, that could have been a catch with ease. But yeah, he's got to take the batters on here. Dev Thadani. And Katane Clark would feel much better. So what a wonderful effort that was from Zahid Zakhail.
Final ball of the over, and again, the underside of the bat struck, and 3 dots against Katane Clark, but the 6 there in the middle, a resounding shot, 8 from the over, 54 for 1. Srini Raghavan continuing from the Barrett Avenue end. This partnership, which began at 16 for 1 when Dale Phillips was retired a bit earlier than expected, is about to end right here as Kosa picks out the man at long off, and that's the end of the day for him now at 54 for 2.
Well flighted. Kosa wanted to give the ball a bit more flight. Finds the man in the deep. It looked like it was a half-hearted shot anyway. Rajveer Khosa, the intention was right, just try and take the bowler on first ball. Execution was not right at all.
And Khosa right from the get-go having a mess of trouble with Srini Raghavan. The first over that Srini came in, it went 4-4-1 to Katane Clark and then 3 consecutive dots to end it to Khosa. He ends up on strike to start this one and is gone 0 off of 4 against the man. Wearing number 8, 14 off 20 for him in total, a pair of 4s. The end of the day for him, and we see the new man Zohaib Ahmad coming out.
Zohaib Ahmed, a lot of calm nerves there as soon as he walks in. SoCal Lashings, they're very assured when Zohaib walks in. Someone who's played 100 first-class games back in Pakistan, considers himself the best Islamabad boy. And the coaches are young kids over here as well at an impressionable age, tells them to be their best at all times. And he's someone who as much as concentrates on the technique of the kids, tells them that it's the temperament that carries you forward in the game. It's always a treat to watch him now with a bat in hand. Finds himself in a position where he's got to score once again. The team relies a lot on him, especially in the middle overs. Doesn't need to offer a shot at that one. Trusts his partner there, Katani. Katani wants a single. 2 runs without a ball being counted.
Indeed, so a solid start there, a little bit of patience and a little bit of sprinting there from Ahmad. So far coming in on the season with a 131 strike rate in his 8 innings so far. An average just a hair under 27 as that one pops up on Clark. Might be going down leg. The appeal comes, but not the loudest one I've heard from the Silicon Valley Strikers side. That'll go, though, as another dot ball.
It just brings us back to the conversation we were having last weekend, the decibel levels and appeals. That's much better from Katani. That's so reassuring when he wants to pick up a single and give it to the new batter in.
Well, and for Ahmad, a chance here to try to improve his fortunes this season against spin bowling. 108 his strike rate against spinners, and his average a tick lower at 24 against them.
Not quite sure what's happening to Srinivas Raghavan here when he's bowling to the new man in. One wide offside, now one down the leg side almost. It's not finding the rhythm. Usually it's the other way around, isn't it, Joe, when you've picked up a wicket?
Right, come out with fire coming out of your pores, and the new batsman having to be the one that makes the adjustment. But so far, Raghavan, in fact, even continuing on that tack, trying to pull back his run-up. Okay, that one's because of a ball coming on the coming to us from the other field where Seattle Thunderbolts are facing off with San Diego Surf Riders. That didn't have anything to do with him being out of rhythm. My mistake. Clark lifting this one. It's going to fall in front of Kulvinder Singh out at long on. Another single for Katane Clark.
Katane Clark's going back to the lower denominations because he wants Zohaib to come good, understands the importance of a partnership at this stage. You don't want 2 new men at the crease while one's trying to be adventurous.
It's a bit of a wild sweep shot to the man over at mid-wicket. That'll be another single for him. 4 off the over to go along with the wicket of Raj Khosa, 58 for 2.
1, 2, 3.
Potentially takeaway options, and Clark at the moment happy to get himself off strike with that single. Give it back to Ahmad, who strikes at 208 against pace this season.
You could see Ahmed also crouching in his stance. He's getting into a compact mode, doesn't want to give away any part of timber.
Potentially dangerous decision, though, with Tadani targeting the pads at the moment.
The sun's bright and sunny. And that's what you get with Morgan Hill, isn't it? It changes moods.
Again, looking for the bounce, a little bit of a shorter delivery, and that one up into the midsection, batted down. Another dot ball for Tadani against Clark. It certainly won't please the likes of Elmore Hutchinson and Sanchit Sandhu to see the sun coming out and warming up the pitch. We were talking before about them likely hoping to get a little something out of the swing that might be on offer.
It's a tricky proposition for the bowlers, isn't it? The pace bowlers, they pray for a cloud cover, but at the same time it starts to drizzle. The team looks at them saying, why did you praise too much?
A single out to the man at point to finish off the over, 64 for 2.
Brewing, which is taking the singles as its base. No wonder that it's Srinivasan to continue. Srinivas Raghavan, he's picked up a wicket and is looking solid. Again, every time he's bowled that line, anything resembling the leg side, it sort of becomes an easier option for Katani Clark, who's anyways looking for a single first up to tap and run.
And not a lot of protection in that area, even here in the circle, is to essentially inviting that dump and scamper. Another quick single taken, a throw down to the non-striker's end. That's going to be an overthrow, and luckily a man out at the boundary to ensure that it's just a single overthrow.
I think Katani and Zohair, both of them would have had that little conversation between overs. When to attack, you've got to time the attack. So very often in Morgan Hill games, we've seen that the teams try to attack in the middle overs to keep the boundaries going. And that's been the difference. Oh, beautiful delivery. Just tangles the batter in flight. And here is a batter who's played a lot of spin coming from Pakistan.
Well, and to your point, Suhas, as well, spin in the middle overs for Silicon Valley has been a monster factor in terms of limiting the attempts of other teams to attack in these middle overs.
Zohaib's walked out with a bat, surely walked out with a bat, which is not as big as he thinks it is. Is it the toe end once again? These are break-free shots. So many times we've seen Zohaib play the same stroke and the bowler having to look at some of the fielders fetching it from beyond the boundary rope. And on that occasion, the ball has hardly left the 30-yard circle. Just tells you he's not in great touch. He's needing that one shot. It's so very often about that one shot, isn't it? He's going to reball this one, Srinivas.
And there again is that line targeting the pads and going even just wide of leg stump. And again, nobody really there to help out if it's dumped into that area. You have to question whether that really works in terms of bowling to your field.
Yeah. Rushi Lagarkar is the only line of defense, and he is fine leg inside the circle with a bit more pace. The ball will travel to the fence. This is a good over at the end of the day, despite those couple of wides, because the boundaries have run. Oh well, perhaps some momentum has been stolen. Even the umpire had started to move to signal the end of the over. That's when you realize it's an overthrow. Now with that additional run, 71 for 2. Well done.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At SoCal, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
'22 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by SoCal. And we've been treated with cricket from different parts of this wonderful country. Here we are at Morgan Hill, California, where 2 games side by side are taking place. The one that we're bringing to you at the moment is Silicon Valley Strikers versus SoCal Lashings. Alongside we have Seattle Thunderbolts taking on the Surf Riders. Thunderbolts, it's a must-win game. Every single game's a must-win game for them. Surf Riders are playing for pride. Quite in contrast to how these 2 teams are placed, Joe.
Well, these 2 teams, of course, SoCal Lashings left with just a spoiler role, and they're going to get a chance to spoil every single team in Northern California this week. They are in this game right now against the Strikers. They'll be facing the Golden State Grizzlies later on today at 2:30. And then tomorrow they'll finish up with a game against the East Bay Blazers, who are the primary team being battled by Seattle Thunderbolts.
It doesn't happen on a regular basis, Joe. I'll tell you something. It's not a daily occurrence, as this one's tucked away for a single. I can say that it's not a daily occurrence when you're Seattle Thunderbolts playing alongside. You have to concentrate on your own game at the same time you're praying that SoCal Lashings do well.
Well, they'll be lucky to kind of keep their mind off of it right now, because Silicon Valley Strikers are clearing away at the top of the Western Division. As we mentioned, just barely haven't sewn it up mathematically yet, but a win here would get it done today and would ensure them of a first-round playoff series against most likely either the Tigers or the Cricket Stars here in 2 weeks.
That was straight enough. That was straight enough indeed. Didn't take much time for the umpire to raise the dreaded finger. The ball did absolutely nothing, just held its line. He's missed a pretty straight ball. The only point that he would have in mind as a batter was the height on that occasion. The straightness of it was dead straight indeed. Zohaib Amanat never got going. Looked like a different batter today. Not the one that he carries usually with his reputation. Yeah, you got to be careful when you're throwing bottles like that as well. You don't want a wet outfield. Another one by us for SoCal Lashings.
Well, and for Dev Thadani, his 11th wicket on the season, and we mentioned beforehand, striking roughly once every 11 balls. It took him 15 to get one today, but a valuable one here, although, as you mentioned, Ahmad struggling to really find the range. Just 7 off of 9 deliveries for him, a very uncharacteristically timid effort, and just never quite found the center of the bat. Maybe in that situation, if you're trying to restrain run rate, are you happy to have him soak up a few more deliveries? You know, now you got Harpreet Singh coming out here still looking to really break free this season.
Harpreet Singh's got a different syllabus this time around. Not opening the batting anymore, so he gets to bat with more protection in the deep. Now Dev Thadani is bowling straight and simple. He's just sticking to the basics here. Sometimes you practice so much about the variations, especially to bring all of them to the table in a T20 game, and you realize when you turn up on that particular day, it's about keeping it simple. Dev Thadani is prepared for both, and I like this about the youngster. He doesn't fuss about the fact that some of the balls are not coming onto the bat. Some of the balls are coming onto the bat beautifully. He just keeps it very simple. Much like this, straight. No swing, but that's all right if you're bowling according to the field.
And continuing to largely hold Kathane Clark in check. I mentioned beforehand that he had bowled, let's see, 5, 7, 8. That's a 10th delivery against him, and 6 of them have been dots.
Again, would he just stick to the stumps? That's what I want to watch, because Kathane would be prepared for anything that comes onto the stumps. Just like this, launches this missile into the stands. Fantastic shot indeed. Now that's the danger that you run if you're Dev Thadani, getting a little bit predictable, and Kathane latches onto it.
Sincere apologies to Dev Thadani there for apparently cursing him on that one. The primary scoring strokes so far for Clark against the youngster have been deep sixes. That one to the gravel just over our heads here at the commentary position. That'll do it for the 11th over.
That's what I... Yeah, sorry, my bad.
80 for 2, 3.
Okay, we need a couple of Toyotas in this one. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Bud, are we on?
Yeah.
22 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco. I hear Unmukh Chand, who usually breaks the pattern, is following a pattern this time around. He wants spin from that end every time. Bavid Avenue has spin written over it. Harpreet Singh, who loves to free his arms, will have to face some spin. That's an easy option on the leg side, isn't it? In fact, he can even come back for 2. Harpreet stutters but gets the second run. I think the throw was at the non-striker's end, but would have been better served had it been at the keeper's.
Absolutely. Singh with a bit of hesitation, and Clark decided to take off for that one a good bit before his battery mate.
But Jariwala, the keeper, usually is very good at singing soprano. On that occasion was quiet. Didn't want the throw to come towards him, it seems. When you're trying to become a keeper, does the coach also tell you that you've got to be able to hit the high notes and at the same time be as chirpy as possible? Try and get into the batter's head. Is that a part of the coaching manual, Joe?
Well, the funny thing with Jariwala is that what he does reminds me very much of what you see from shortstops commanding the infield in a baseball game. And, of course, that is his role when he's playing baseball. So I think it just translates beautifully to what you need to do to kind of organize your infield as well here in cricket.
That's what you get at 2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship. All the viewers, we're talking about cricket at the same time. There was a couple of tennis references. Here we have with the baseball too. It's a multi-sport affair as far as the commentary is concerned. What that 6 did from Katani Clark is just show the strikers that he's not getting into a shell. If the ball's there to be hit, he will go after it. Ever since that's happened, Katani Clark's just waiting for the right ball to put away, much like this one, beautifully placed. Yes, there was a fielder in the deep, but in the end, all that he could do was just escort the ball to the fence. That was pure placement.
And in a roundabout way, yet again, victimizing Dev Thadani, the one who was left trying to sprint and catch up with that one.
This game had a gloomy start as far as the weather conditions were concerned. Now the sun's bright and shiny. Oh, it's gone through. This one's gone through. And it's also hurt him in the process. As frustrated as he is of having given away a single. But I tell you what, it's the last ball of the over, so get some time to recuperate. 88 for 3.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go Rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
Any boundaries, suddenly 2 boundaries in 2 overs. Not much, but still a sign of impetus for SoCal. Good ball. Oh, Dev Thadani. Now he's getting back into the groove. It's important for a bowler who's gone for a lovely 6 straight down the ground to start off well when he bowls to the next over, and he's done so. More so if you're bowling to the same batter.
Well, and he and Srini have to feel pretty good about the limitation they did there, especially in the overs immediately following the power play. There was a good 24 deliveries in a row without a boundary being hit. Clark now with boundaries in each of the last 2 overs looking to heat up.
There's a bit of conviction with which Clark is playing these shots. He could sense that. He's a little frustrated that he didn't sort of go for a boundary because the field change was so accurate. Exactly where Clark hit that one. But no half measures with Clark. Something that Khosa can learn. Oh yeah, when you say Khosa in SoCal Lashing setup, you've got to mention which one. There's Chamkor lurking around as well. We of course meant Rajvi. This one's hurried on. Didn't hit the pads as he's got swift hands. So far so good for Dev Tadani. Now the question is, there's 2 approaches, and when the game gets into a situation like this, as a captain you try and stop a single to try and create that opportunity, or you're quite content giving away a single on the leg side, Joe. Oh, beautiful shot. Just ease through it. We'll get at least a couple of runs as Zahid Zakhael gets around it. The confidence with which he came down the track a little bit to access the gap better. These are the little moments that you can learn, the nuances of the game. And Katani Clark knows them really, really well. Pranay Suri, who otherwise would have collected it exactly where he was standing, Joe. They had to move sideways and the ball was also quick on that occasion. That's because the batter is creating his own angles.
And as you said, the conviction with which he's throwing these shots right now, not hitting anything particularly soft. They're all coming off the bat with some pace to them.
And just as Joe says that, launches this one out of the ground. Again, no half measures. Dev Tadani's new bane continues, giving away a 6 in every over, especially with Katani Clark at the business end.
Well, and you see the class right now of the young Kiwi, Katane Clark, who was having so much trouble getting Tadani away in the first couple of overs that Dev worked, and the last few seems to have figured some things out. Tadani keeping it simple, and at the moment perhaps a little bit too simple.
That's much better. He's sticking to his strengths now to bowl that heavy ball which skids through. Dev Tadani, I think he'll have a word with his coach Gary, who at the moment is sitting out nursing an injury. End of the over, 99 for 3, and 99 is a number that Katani won't forget. Looks like 150 plus, right? 150 plus with these.
Yeah.
Games in the balance. Partnership nicely blooming. Silicon Valley strikers feeling the itch to pick up a wicket here and believe that one will bring another. Katani Clark is unfurling his range of shots. He's starting to explore new areas as well. And Harpreet is quite content feeding the strike to Katani Clark. That's how this game's been poised. And Unmukh Chand just follows the format that he's brought into this game. One end belongs to the spinners.
He's run out of overs for Srinivas Raghavan, so Pranay Suri, who has had such success over the middle portion of this season, has been a little bit less of a wicket taker the last handful of weeks.
What a good delivery, just a little bit more. Will that be another extra run? Yes, the overthrows have costed them 3. There have been at least 3 overthrows. Is that another pattern emerging? Silicon Valley strikers not their 100% on the field today. What I liked about that ball was he knew that he will try and back away to create that extra bit of, catch it is the call on that occasion, extra bit of room. Again, it's a second run, bit late there to dispatch the throw, Kulvinder. There is something heartwarming when you see a pacer bend down, put in the effort to bring his body behind to get the throw in on that occasion. A late and the second run was complete, and the throw also arrived in installments. It wasn't a direct throw.
Well, and particularly now the overthrow plus the slightly lackadaisical ball in from Kulvinder Singh have given Katane Clark a couple extra balls to attack, and with the level of comfort he's starting to get at the crease, not what you want if you're the strikers right now.
What I'm also interested in seeing is Bavid Avenue end. It's been seeing spinners, spinners, spinners. Will that be changed as well? That's a very good delivery. He was flirting a little bit with a wide line. It's one of those instances where the bowler bowls something on the tram lines, and from the corner of his eyes he's just looking at the umpire just to see if he's standing like a scarecrow. Oh, beautifully done. Just using the pace on that occasion. The outfield's batter's best friend at the moment. Much needed boundary for Katane Clark will give them the impetus. SoCal Lashings would believe they're on course for a respectable total. The 100 comes up.
Ball still scooting pretty readily across there as it went to the left of Srinivas Raghavan. Looks like the dew hasn't quite all burned off just yet, even as the sun has largely shown itself and the cloud cover has broken here in Morgan Hill.
107 at the moment. Yeah, the cloud cover. As we talked about, this Morgan Hill cricket ground will show you its different moods. As far as Unmukh Chand's concerned, he's chosen to bowl. That's, of course, he looked at the sky as much as the surface to decide to do so. And then you realize now it's bright and shiny. You ask yourself, did you pick up those early wickets? No, Harry will pick up a single and quite content to do so. Less drama. And this game's been played with a little bit of camaraderie. It's always a treat to watch. 109 for 3. Okay, we need 2 more Sunokos.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Catching it. 60. We just missed his half century. Couldn't sense it.
Now spin coming from both ends as Zahid Zakil is going to take over from the San Pedro end of the ground. A very useful contribution from Zakil last week in the match against East Bay. First delivery to Harpreet Singh, worked to Shahan Jayasuriya at long on for a single.
Harpreet Singh is quite content taking the single as Katane Clark has been brought to the business end. Much required half century this for Katane Clark and SoCal Lashings. It's come a little late in the tournament. Nonetheless, the second half century for Katane Clark. The drought period has ended. And what's happening here from San Pedro end? If the spinners are in operation, the ball's not bouncing as much.
.37 runs so far, the partnership between Singh and Clark. Oh my! Bold clean by Zahid Zakil. And that breaks the partnership right there. Katane Clark, a few runs past the 50, sent packing.
Katane Clark misses a straight one. It didn't spin as much. It's the illusion of spin that got him engulfed into that shot. Moving away, backing away. And in the end, the ball hitting timber, just what the doctor ordered for Silicon Valley strikers, as they would believe that now the partnership is broken, they can keep the pressure on. They can avoid the crescendo finish that SoCal Lashings were preparing for.
Well, this is a bit of what we saw from Zahid Zakil against East Bay as well. Bowled the 11th, 13th, and 17th overs and was responsible for a pair of big wickets. A nice contribution, especially with them choosing him in place of Srini Raghavan, and yeah, David White taken out among them. And again today comes in a little late in the piece and picks off an opener.
I think he's making a case for himself to be bowling at openers very soon. Just that he wouldn't get that extra cushion if he's bowling in the power play. Zahid Zakil. One thing that you've got to admire about the strikers is the fact that they're multi-dimensional players. They can come in at any time. Zahid Zakil will get more protection on the offside as captain Unmuk Chand drops back to long off, who's slightly wider. Who went at it with hard hands there.
New batter at the crease, Elmore Hutchinson. A 129 strike rate on the season, average of just 9.4.
Elmore Hutchinson's off the mark. Elmore Hutchinson, someone who doesn't believe much in footwork, believes in fireworks, but loves to go straight down the ground as well. So you and I are going to be running for cover. Joe. Oh, good delivery. He knows the field like the back of his hand. Boy, does the captain enjoy this as well. Gets through the over so quickly. Nelson for 4.
1, 2, 3.
'22 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championships presented by Sunoco, who urge you to fuel your best. We, of course, are fueling fantastic over here as we've got a full weekend of cricket in front of us. And we are hitting the death overs of match number 1 here on the weekend as Elmore Hutchinson works the ball and creates a chance at the non-strikers end, and another overthrow. 4th run conceded based on a wild throw with no backup. Dev Thadani targeting the stumps over at Pranay Suri's end to no avail. So too quickly for Elmore Hutchinson, who has been in better form as of late. We mentioned the average just sitting at about 9.3, but in his last 5 matches, he's got a 12, a 17, and a 24 amongst his innings. At 24 coming against the Seattle Thunderbolts, so no small task there with the quality of that bowling attack to put up a score of that sort late in the piece.
Yeah, adds the respectability to the total. That's what he's been asked to do today as well. Sort of work on the start that his team has provided him. Elmore Hutchinson is a tall man. Even the slightest of less bounce would mean that he's got to negotiate it somehow. He's walked out with a bat, interestingly, today. Usually walks out with a sledgehammer. Oh, that's coming into play. The power of the Elmore Hutchinson that everybody knows, that's coming into play. It's just that it's gone straight to the fielder. Boy, did we have to wait for a long, long time to see Suri.
Yeah, he's been working a great deal earlier. I think maybe some thoughts about putting that quality to work here inside the death overs as we are just within them. That delivery a bit on the wide side. Misses the tram line this time around.
Yeah, the first over going for 10 for Suri. Then was asked to wait.
Harpreet Singh putting that one to the man at long on. That'll be a single. And it'll give Hutchinson the final ball of the over. For Suri here, just the 2nd over he's bowled in the death overs, but his figures impeccable. None for 2. Hutchinson will work that one to the man at backward point, Zahid Zakil, and that will end over number 15. Just 4 from it, 115 for 4.
116 for 4. SoCal Lashings are expecting Harpreet to go bonkers. Elmore Hutchinson's been sent in with a script to go for the big shots more often, provide the good finish that SoCal Lashings have been missing at many games this season. Would want to believe it's a different game altogether. They've got a good start, but they need that final punch. Will these two provide it?
First delivery playing havoc with both bat and wicket keeper. That's going to run all the way down towards the back boundary and hits it. That's going to be 4, and I didn't see a signal for byes. Looks like there was a little bit of bat on that, so it will go down as a boundary.
It's one of those instances where, as a keeper, if it goes as byes, the people are still staring at you. If it's given as runs, the people are still staring at you.
That was a feathered edge one way or the other.
A little unlucky there. Zahid Zakil creating half an opportunity but not converting. Oh, this one has been smashed away. Marginally shot and a long way it goes. He's written, go fetch that over it.
Back-to-back boundaries, one of them an excuse me shot, the other one a get out of the way shot from Harpreet Singh. 10 already off the over, and you were mentioning looking to pick up their pace a little bit here. They've been averaging the Lashings about 8 runs per over, but generally speaking have just lost wickets in clumps in the death overs this season, going at about an average of 14 inside here. And the strikers have been pretty lethal at the death, but they are missing their biggest weapon in Saurabh Netravalkar.
Very flighted. Zahid Zakir has got a big heart indeed. He's just been hit away for 6, but believes in the process there, flighting it above the eye line.
Of course, it'll be a challenge to get it above the eye line for the man now standing over at the striker's end, Elmore Hutchinson.
He can, if you miss your mark.
That is a feathered edge that is going to run back towards third man. Looking to grab it with the backhand is Srini Raghavan, and he will keep that inside the rope. So perhaps, making good on a few of the overthrows we've seen here, saving 2 runs in that moment.
It's all right that Harpreet Singh, who finds himself at the non-strikers end, of course, is hitting the ball for 6, but he's got to run slightly quicker. So the strikers will pick up on the fact that Harpreet is not running but trudging to the other end more often. That presents an opportunity for a run out. Elmore Hutchinson will quietly pick up a single, even though that goes straight to the fielder inside the 30-yard circle. What's Harpreet Singh thinking right now, Joe? Would he go for another big shot here to try and keep the momentum going?
I would imagine that he'll try to go big, and if he picks up a single and holds on to the strike, he'll be okay with that too. But great length there from Zahid Zakil to tease Harpreet Singh, unable to make any contact, and so a dot ball, best result possible for him. Yeah. That'll take care of the over. 130 for 4.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah. Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Innings, Mohammad Irfan coming from the Barrett Avenue end, breaking a string of 4 consecutive overs of spin bowling. So I thought it seemed like the overs were going by very, very quickly. Irfan so far today bowled a couple overs in the power play, gave up just a run and a no ball in his first over.
Oh yeah, the first over 1.
1 off the bat and a no ball, and then gave up 6 off of his second over, along with another no ball, so make that 7. It's been his primary issue so far in today's piece, has been making sure that he does not overstep the lines with those long legs. We'll face off first with Elmore Hutchinson, 7 off 9 so far for Elmore. Still looking for his first boundary.
Elmore versus Mohammad Irfan. Elmore v. Mohammad Irfan. A contest of tall order. Oh, what a delivery, and a flying Jariwala will ensure it's a single. Otherwise, the ball would have raced away to the fence.
A bye to start the over, but absolutely Rahul Jariwala taking every bit of the wicketkeeper or shortstop instincts and flagging that down.
Mr. 172 Harpreet loves to open the face of the bat and go inside out. Would be a little tough doing it to Mohammad Irfan, who generates extra bounce. You've got to be to the pitch of the ball if you're trying to do that.
Works that one right back over the bowler's head. That'll be another single and bring Elmore Hutchinson back on strike.
So far, so good for Mohammad Irfan. Just a couple of singles, and he's got a thank you note to write to the keeper for one of them. Mohammad Irfan. We haven't seen the slower delivery of the Yorker yet. Mohammad Irfan's known for a Yorker.
Largely dealing in short balls and buzzing the tower. There is the Yorker with a little pace off. That's going to be worked wide of Rishi Lugarkar. That'll be another single.
The singles are fine. As far as the strikers are concerned, it's not going to pinch them at all. It's not stealing the momentum. Harpreet has got to look for the ball which has an appointment with the boundary rope. Where are his regions? His favourite areas are packed. He's been asked to go inside out if he wants the runs.
Elects not to, and again it'll be another single worked to long on.
Yeah. Just cannot go inside out on that length, isn't it? Maximum you could do is just... He's asked for a change in bat. He believes that the bat has disobeyed him. There's a hollow piece in that willow. Otherwise, when he plays the helicopter shot, the ball flies.
There's an old saying about the clerk that blames his pen, but so far Singh still looking for liftoff against pace at the very least. Here comes Hutchinson using the feet and does not get all of that. They will pinch the quick single. This time around, Jariwala backs up the throw from Kulvinder Singh, so no overthrow runs on offer there. It's been 5 singles off 5 balls.
Rahul Jariwala is just making up for the opportunity that if you want to be a taskmaster, can call an opportunity in the over when Zahid Zakil was bowling. He's been so good today in this over. Rahul Jariwala. Oh, what a talent behind the wicket and in front of it with a bat in hand.
Mohammad Irfan here with the final delivery of the over, assuming it's legal. That's a feathered edge just over the outstretched hand of Jariwala that will run very, very fine for a 4 to close out the over.
Some momentum, perhaps not from the best part of the bat, but runs nonetheless. End of the over, 130 for 4 with 18 balls left.
Right, pretty there.
What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
150 is on the cards, which is psychological total, Joe. But if you've got to be getting more than 150, then you would consider yourself safe on a track which is playing tricks with a batter. And you know you're going to be bowling at the strikers. 165 would be a great finish indeed.
Well, and ordinarily the strikers would feel like they can chase down just about anything, but don't forget what they are now missing in the shed. Roshan Primus, Raymond Reefer, neither of them available, both on duty in the West Indies. Yeah. Gary Graham potentially out of commission after the injury in the first innings. Very, very different looking lineup for them all of a sudden.
Let's go, West Indies.
Yeah, they're missing the Caribbean power.
All 3 of them. Kulvinder Singh from the San Pedro end. That one skidding under the bat of Elmore Hutchinson. Left to look at his bat and at the ground and at the stumps and say, what are you first 2 doing? And thank heavens you're still up.
Kulvinder Singh was equally surprised as the batter that didn't bounce. But if it is any indication of what is to come, then Elmo Hutchinson wouldn't be troubled much. Oh, that's going away very quickly. Excellent stop. Unmukh Chand, who had boundary awareness so much that he was able to skip through those boundary ropes to eventually be back in play. He slapped it back into play. That was going for 4 any other time. And mind you, he had to calculate that little turn of the ball, that little ricochet off the bowler's hand.
And I think I saw that right. Along with the slap, I believe he also stopped it by stepping on it in order to prevent it from going over the rope. Am I correct in that one? We don't have the replay in front of us. So using every body part available, that one looks like it must have been going down lay. The umpire not interested in the appeal. And so another run added to the total here. Harpreet Singh scampers, thankfully, down to the other end.
So much action to unpack just in the previous ball. What was destined to go for 4, crunched from the middle of the bat. Didn't go to the boundary. Now the opportunity. Oh, that's a poor delivery, but he's got protection in the deep for that kind of a delivery. The man at cow corner will ensure it's a single. The throw comes so quickly. By the time Elmo Hutchinson, a tall man himself, could turn for the second, the throw was on its way.
Well, and as you mentioned, Harpreet Singh maybe not moving with quite the urgency that Elmore would have liked at that moment. I'm pretty sure as Elmore turned and looked to go for the second, Singh still had his back to him.
Battle of the Singhs here. That didn't come from the best part of the bat. I think it's not a change in bat at the moment. It's something else with Harpreet Singh.
Would you say here with the Battle of the Singhs that particular delivery from Kulvinder was on song?
Definitely. But I'll tell you what, now Kulvinder is also realizing that there are spots in this pitch which the ball doesn't bounce much from and wants to utilize that. Has he got the height here? Zakil is praying that he has a jetpack. That's gone through his hands. This was the simpler of the 2 attempts.
Well, to be fair, though, even as it does go through his hands, he's already got his heel on the boundary rope, would not have been a catch either way. It would have been a 6 no matter what, even if he bats it back into play. And that salvages what was looking like a pretty good over from Kulvinder Singh. Suddenly, it ends up being 10 from it for SoCal Lashings. Very, very close to that psychological total of 150, 149 for 4. Perhaps not a candidate for the Daphnews shot of the week, but a 6 nonetheless to end the 19th over moves SoCal ever closer to that psychological total of 150. It's going to be Muhammad Irfan Jr. coming from the Barrett Avenue end to finish. Pace off, and Harpreet Singh has drilled that one into the other game. A 6 to start the 20th.
Didn't get the Yorker right, and the ball traveled the distance. It's one of those balls which the Seattle Thunderbolts in the ground alongside wouldn't mind fielding, because they want SoCal Lashings to pick up a win here. Just the way SoCal Lashings wanted to start this over. 150 comes up, and the over starts with a 6.
Second delivery of the over, and that one is a heat-seeking missile aimed at Harpreet Singh's head as it bounces up off of this bouncy pitch here at Morgan Hill. A dot ball and a heart rate in need of coming back down for Harpreet.
Perhaps as much as the jersey number indicates. Harpreet Singh is trying to get out of the way, at the same time offer the shot. It's a very tricky proposition also because you're not the most flexible.
And I'll say, too, cricket players are the only people in the entire world still worried about trying to make contact with something when it's flying at you, at your head, at that velocity.
Yeah.
Third offering, again, a bit of a change of pace and unable to make contact. What a comeback from Irfan after going the distance on the first delivery of the over, Suhas.
Oh, absolutely. And that's something that didn't go right, according to Irfan, because Irfan just fed it to the batter with a low full toss, which Harpreet was looking for in the final over. Harpreet is using the depth of the crease nicely. He's just expecting another Yorker, but Irfan's trusting the bouncer approach.
Just 3 balls left. There's the Yorker, and that one absolutely is dug out. They will get the single. No interest in a second.
That was so well dug out that Elmo Hutchinson thought he's just running into a tornado. And a puff of dust that comes out.
Absolute dirt devil here at Morgan Hill. 2 deliveries left to play with. The score now up at 156. Elmore Hutchinson a chance to try to add to that here.
Hutchinson, but he goes straight down the ground, loves to do so.
Certainly is trying, but that's going to wind up at a very wide long on. Sweeping over is Zakil, and that will be just a single. Harpreet Singh will face the final delivery of the first innings.
157 for SoCal Lashings. Right, 157?
157 at the moment, and looking to potentially break that 160 barrier here.
They need a boundary to do so. What are his options here? Inside out, as always, is an option.
Good captaincy from Chand here in the field placements. We'll see if Singh can adjust. Here's the final delivery. Looks to give himself some room, gets a feathered edge, and I don't think that's quite the way they drew it up, but it's nearly a boundary. Rishi Ugarkar at full stretch. That's actually going to just be a pair. Good work out at the rope from Ugarkar. That ball died on the grass. I think the dew is gone.
Oh yes, needed a bit more Sonoko, and Agarkar was quick to pounce on it. It's those times when you have to time your dive as well. Agarkar did well on that occasion. 159 is what SoCal Lashings have managed. So a round figure of 160 is what the strikers would require to cement their place up top.
We'll be back in about 10 minutes with the run chase here. Again, the target, as Suhas told you, 160 for Silicon Valley strikers. We hope you'll join us for that.
You want to come down? Yeah. Yeah.
Swing that he's known for. Pitches it up again. That's in the gap too. This one kissing the carpet of grass.
So far a 40 and an 84 not out for Phillips as an opener.
Fantastic shot. Extension once again. Just creates the room that he wants. Unmukh Chand
for a bowl to begin today's match.
And Kulvinder Singh strikes. A shot that's one of Dale's favorites.
For him, coming to us from Irvington High School, where he started in that position.
Glorious shot. Oh, this one's so pleasing to the eye. Oh, beautifully done. Would have got a hand to it, the fielder at point, but there's still...
SoCal Lashings power play thus far, a team that averages roughly 50 runs and maybe a wicket or 2 lost. Scoring a bit below that rate, but looking to get right here.
Who's trying to suppress his emotions and be as neutral as possible. Oh, he's done it again. It's just that the manner in which the ball's gone.
Yeah, Tadani certainly not with the grace of altitude that Irfan has. That time Clark drills it, and that is just over the leap. 15 for 1 when Dale Phillips was retired a bit earlier than expected. Is about to end right here as Kosa picks out the man at long off, and that's the end of the day for him now at 54 for 2. Tigers or the Cricket Stars here in 2 weeks.
That was straight enough. That was straight enough indeed. Didn't take much time for the umpire to raise the dreaded finger, because Katani would be prepared for anything that comes onto the stumps. Just like this, launches this missile into the stands. Fantastic shot indeed. That's the danger that you run if you're Dev Tadani. Ever since that's happened. Now Katani Clark's just waiting for the right ball to put away, much like this one, beautifully placed. Yes, there was a fielder in the deep, but in the end...
Soft, they're all coming off the bat with some pace to them.
And just as Joe says that, launches this one out of the ground. Again, no half measures. Dev Tadani's new bane continues, giving away a 6 in every over. Looking at the umpire just to see if he's standing like a scarecrow. Oh, beautifully done. Just using the pace on that occasion. The outfield's batter's best friend at the moment.
37 runs so far, the partnership between Singh and Clark. Oh my! Bowled clean by Zahid Zakil, and that breaks the partnership right there. First delivery playing havoc with both bat and wicket keeper. That's going to run all the way down towards the back boundary and hits it.
Little unlucky there. Zahid Zakhil creating half an opportunity but not converting. Oh, this one has been smashed away. Marginally short and a long way it goes. And
Mohammad Irfan here with the final delivery of the over, assuming it's legal. That's a feathered edge just over the outstretched hand of Jadiwala that will run very, very fine for a 4 to close out the over.
Indication of what is to come. And Elmo Hutchinson wouldn't be troubled much. Oh, that's going away very quickly. Excellent stop. Unmukh Chand, who had boundary awareness in this pitch, which the ball doesn't bounce much from, and wants to utilize that. Has he got the height here? Zakhil is praying that he has a jetpack. That's gone through his...
Mohammad Irfan Jr. coming from the Barrett Avenue end to finish. Pace off, and Harpreet Singh has drilled that one into the other game. Singh can adjust. Here's the final delivery. Looks to give himself some room, gets a feathered edge, and I don't think that's quite the way they drew it up, but it's nearly a boundary. Rishi Ugarkar at full stretch. That's actually going to just be a pair. Good work out at the rope from Ugarkar. That ball died on the grass. I think the do is...
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco. You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.
Let's go. 160, right?
2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championships here on the MLC Network, presented by Sunoco, the fuel that takes you farther. We've got a far way to go here for Silicon Valley if they're going to clinch a Western Division championship here today. 160 the target, and it'll be the captain leading off the bowling here for SoCal Lashings, Abhimanyu Rajap.
Starting with spin here. No, captain's Dale.
Correction, sorry, captain's Dale Phillips. My mistake. I believe I thought Rajap was captaining the side early in the season. I may have carried that over.
You're right. It was Raj Purohit who captained the side initially, then decided to give up on captaincy to concentrate better on his performances. And he's bowled well in difficult times here with just two men patrolling the boundary rope. First ball. Lots of real estate on the leg side, Joe. An easy single.
Indeed, the protection mainly looking at a cut shot, potentially short over to the offside, and then against the left-hander Zahid Zakhail. A lot of deep protection on the onside, but a big old gap there between mid-wicket and mid-on. That'll bring the captain. This time I'm sure it's the captain, Unmuk Chan, on strike. Thank you, as always, Suhas, for having my back. Suhas Vedam, Joe Hickey with you here on the comms from Morgan Hill Outdoor Sports Center.
Leans into it just to get a feel of what the surface has to give you. One of the benefits of batting second, of course, you know how the track's behaving.
Indeed, and certainly it looked like they made the decision early on to bowl first, perhaps, as you mentioned, Suhas, more due to the atmospheric conditions than anything that the track had on offer. If the swing disappears, perhaps that influencing the decision to bowl Raj right out of the gate here. As Chan will wait, the right-hander in the left-right partnership, looking to cut that one to the offside and does not get to it. Keeps the foot planted, though. Fourth ball of the over coming up. Just the one run so far from it off the bat of Zahid Zakhail, and it'll stay that way. Another dot.
A good start for Abhimanyu Raj Purohit. He's got to keep it tight. Just like that, didn't bounce as much, but didn't go up in appeal as well, because you could see all the three stumps.
Indeed, Chan's stance not looking to cover them up at all, and so if you do strike the pads, there's really no danger at that point. Leaving himself open to potentially being bowled, but certainly not LBW. Final ball of the over coming up over the wicket from the right-handed spinner. And looking for the flick back behind. That may have missed the bails by all of 6 inches, but it is going to run all the way to the boundary rope. No signal. Oh, there is the signal indeed of the bye. It'll be 4 byes to finish off the over. So 5 from it, 5 for no loss through 1.
But
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
5 for no loss after 1 over here. Again, chasing 160. And it is Zahid Zakhail back in as the opener. We saw Rahul Jariwala last week. We've seen the use of Arsh Butch at other times here, but Zakhail so far this season very, very effective when brought in as an opener in this lineup.
It's one of those sides which sort of defies logic at times as well, Silicon Valley Strikers, but it seems to work for them. They chop and change so much with the batting order, especially up top, and still succeed. As far as things are going right, it's great. But it's one of those sides when you don't know as a batter where exactly you're going to be, but you're going to be prepared for everything. It's like preparing for an exam, isn't it? You think you know the syllabus. Of course, if it's not chemistry. Joe, otherwise you would ace it.
No, and as a teacher, I try to be very careful about sticking within the syllabus. I don't need my students angry at me, especially that all getting started in about 2 weeks' time up the road in Concord.
I wish you moved to India. I could have got better grades then.
So it'll be Elmore Hutchinson, the former U.S. international, bowling from the Barrett Avenue end here. First look at pace at this portion of the innings. We were starting to say Zakhail, this is his 4th time opening the batting and his 6th time in the lineup. Taking an innings here, it'll be left arm pace over the wicket. Hutchinson, a half-hearted appeal, but Dale Phillips behind the wicket's not interested.
Dale Phillips doesn't join in, but what's been more concerning now with both the ends, there are spots on the wicket which the ball is not bouncing from. That is a concern, and that is what can make 160 look like 180 while chasing.
Well, and certainly everything that the strikers will have seen in the first innings would lead them to believe that they should be prepared for a lot of bounce. But indeed, yeah, a little skid towards the end of the first innings and starting to see more of it right out of the gate here, out of the hand of Hutchinson. Lefty on lefty as he comes steaming in for the second delivery of the second over. Ooh, good ball.
A very good delivery indeed. Now that extra bounce that you were talking about will also come into play. I think it's gradually getting there.
Well, variation and uncertainty is not what you want as an opening batter, especially with somebody coming in with the pace of an Elmore Hutchinson. That is likely to leave you in 2 minds and then very quickly leave you back in a seat in the pavilion.
Just love what I see here right now. Elmore Hutchinson steaming in, asking questions. Zakhail's trying to get his batting going. Has a word with the captain, and it's about that bounce. You could sense it with the hand directions. Oh, what's that single? And the throw is at the right end as well.
I can't say I would blame Zahid Zakhail for taking any opportunity to get off strike right now with the way the ball is talking from Elmore. Certainly want to be as far away from that as possible.
Elmore Hutchinson, someone who's troubled Unmukt Chand in the past. Had to be a little wary with the ball that leaves the right-hander. Remember, there's no slip in place. The services of a slip has been used for a man stopping the cut shot.
Interesting note here. We saw Raj earlier opening the bowling for SoCal. It's the first time anyone besides Hutchinson has bowled the first over of a match for the Lashings this season. One guided to wide of the man at fine leg, and that's going to race away to the boundary. An elegant shot from the captain.
Not trying to hit it hard at all. Just allowing the ball to come towards him, showing it the way. He's a very interesting batter. The reason I use the word interesting over here is usually you see batters go hard at things when it's towards their body. But here he is, who knows the field exactly as if he's set it. The captain just gently tucking it away and trusting the outfield. Unmukt Chand, I think it'll make him feel much better mentally as well.
Chand, who finally got himself back on song after a few underwhelming innings up in Seattle, just 3 and 4 in those 2 matches, but 64 against Golden State last weekend. Although against East Bay,
he was terrific indeed, and even Up in Seattle, it was a different kind of a game altogether. The surface was doing everything that it could to trouble the batters. It just didn't like the batters. And you had to battle through a lot of uncertainties with the ball doing its tricks as well when the spinners were in operation. Umpire Bandula is having a look at the ball. Wasn't really happy with something there. Elmo Hutchinson was all set to steam in again. He says, give me the ball. I know it's gone for 4. Let me have my say as well.
First boundary off the bat, coming off of that last ball to Unmuk Chand.
Oh, good ball.
Fantastic rebound from that, and that's what we've seen all day today is when you're dealing with professionals like this, very short memory. Absolutely goldfishing this thing and making sure that the next ball is quality even after getting hit around the park.
It's so much about keeping the pressure off as well, isn't it? And for a towering man of Elmo Hutchinson's caliber, international caliber, you got to be concentrating on that particular ball. It's something that Elmo Hutchinson, who interestingly...
This one comes in, Chan opens the face of the bat, nobody out there, and that will fly away for a 6 on the final ball of the over. So after a couple of dots and a single, Unmuk Chan making Hutchinson pay on the last 3 deliveries with 2 boundaries, Suhas.
What a way to end the over, just holding his pose and going through with the shot. Terrific shot indeed.
Definite candidate for the Dafa News shot of the day here at Morgan Hill. That'll do it for over number 2, 11 from it, 16 for no loss.
Good.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, तेरे घर लाने का।
Weather report didn't say pouring a bottle.
No precipitation of any kind. Abhimanyu Rajap stays in from the San Pedro end.
Are we on? Okay.
He'll be facing Zahid Zakil. So far, just a pair of runs for Zahid off the 4 balls he's faced.
It's holding a little bit, the ball, before it turns, and it's a good sign for any spinner.
And we saw a little bit too, some of the moisture that was on the pitch, at least earlier in the morning, certainly threatened to hold the ball, help it not quite get onto the bat as easily. Admittedly, late in that first innings, we saw some pretty free hitting coming from the likes of Hutchinson and Harpreet Singh, a 49 partnership to finish off that innings. Nearly 50 runs off the death overs, a very strong finish that has put this match in a really interesting spot. Turning and firing is Unmuk Chan, but there is a man out in the deep. He will not be able to chase it down, wide of him and over the boundary for 6.
Gets into such good positions, Unmuk Chand. Crouching nicely under it, trusting the bounce on this occasion and taking the fielder on. That's got it from the best part of the bat as well. Will make him feel much, much better. Moments ago we saw deft touches going for 4. This time it was more about power. Unmuk Chand starting to unfurl all kinds of shots. One that he didn't get from the middle of the bat, still got a boundary, was when he attempted the scoop.
Flighted that time, sorry, from Raj. And Chan lets that one go by.
I was very surprised that he let this one go by, isn't it? You would have wanted him to see his arms go inside out 9 out of 10 times. It's one of his favorite strokes to play as well. I thought he would have offered the shot on that occasion. Didn't bounce as much as well, perhaps. Well, this one did bounce. Zakil would have been sold a dummy. Gets there just in time. Raj Purohit doesn't collect the ball. Otherwise, could have been a different story. Touch and go, Joe.
My goodness, and one of the things that can come with being a slightly less used batsman at this point is maybe the communication between a Zakil and a Chand, not as well refined as you might have for like a White and a Ganesh or a Clark and a Phillips that are accustomed to batting with one another.
And at the end of the day, it's a captain's call.
Definitely need to defer. Here comes Raj Purohit again with the 5th delivery of the over, and it's 3 dots on the trot here after Chand let the one immediately following the 6 go by. 2 nice deliveries from Raj.
Great comeback by Raj Purohit. And as far as Zahid Zakil's concerned, it's good to see that the previous attempt of getting him run out is not playing in his mind. He was still going for that single. Slight change in field. Man for the cut shot. Third man who's come inside the circle, of course, is as wide as possible, but inside the circle nonetheless.
A swing and a miss on the final ball of the over, so 4 consecutive dots following the 6 to mid-wicket from Unmuk Chand. 7 off the over, 23 for no loss through 3.
1, 2, 3.
Then 23 for no loss through 3 overs here from Morgan Hill. Silicon Valley Strikers chasing 160 in search of that division title. It'll be Hutchinson again coming from the Barrett Avenue end. So far, it's been a fair while since we've seen a wicket. The final partnership lasting nearly 6 overs in the second innings, and so far 3 overs here unbeaten. Chand and SoCal.
Mind you, that doesn't mean that the wicket's getting better to bat on. It's still playing tricks.
Got 2 professionals with lots of first-class experience out there in the form of Chand and SoCal, be it in India or in Afghanistan.
Zahid SoCal spent most of his time in Kabul, and it's quite a story for him to be getting to the US. Boy, has he grasped this opportunity. He's grasped it with both hands.
Hutchinson unable to keep that one inside. Excuse me, correction. Guy and Fernando on from the Barrett Avenue end. My mistake. I saw Hutchie out there to start with and swap places. So it'll be Fernando there, and his first delivery not inside the tram lines. A wide to start things.
Can we have binoculars sponsored by Dafa News? A beautiful shot.
Inside out swing from SoCal, and that is going to carry over the boundary. And long off.
Oh, very good shot indeed. And he's just borrowing a leaf out of Unmuk Chand's book. Hold your pose and hit through the line. Gan Fernando. Now he gets a taste of what it is to bowl on this track. If that is the length he's going to go for again.
Fernando so far on the season 6 wickets, just one of them inside the power play where he's given up 58 runs rather for it. That's a better comeback ball there, and another bit of skid it looks like as SoCal hits that one straight into the ground off the bottom of the bat.
Again, Fernando bowled well in Houston, of course, and after that has been out of action a bit. Now he's got to get into the rhythm again, and for a pace bowler, it's all about rhythm. T20 cricket doesn't allow you the time to test things out, isn't it? You've got to be 100% because in the 4 overs that you bowl, 1 per over would mean that 25% of your deliveries are done and dusted with. That'll land easily in the no man's land. You could almost sense that it's going to land in the no man's land with Khosa not giving his 100% while steaming in. Joe, he was running around the ball and not towards it, and it was impossible for someone like Katani Clark to go over the shoulder. Makes it more difficult.
And we talked a bit about those straight line paths to try to get that. The school of thought that Sanjay Krishnamurthy, for example, of East Bay subscribes to. Didn't really get a good look at that there. Ball landing on a day when we are deprived of much of our Caribbean flavor in the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, well.
Another comeback delivery there as that one buzzes SoCal and unable to make up his mind, lets it go.
Might be a little early, but you got to say that Dale Phillips is looking good behind the wicket. Perhaps setting the example for the boys leading from the front.
You would imagine, too, he's taken note of what Rahul Jadiwala had to deal with in that first innings, especially with the taller bowlers coming in and steaming and looking for the short deliveries. A lot of bounce in that wicket, albeit one that, as we've mentioned, has gotten a little bit skiddier. Change in field here as Khosa comes in from the 3rd man boundary. And so we've got a push out over at long on.
Oh, beautiful shot.
SoCal will guide that, a diving play by Katani Clark to keep that inside the circle, and that will anchor SoCal right there to the crease.
What he's also done unknowingly or knowingly is the fact that he slapped it to the nearest fielder. That means no chance of a run. But the run's sometimes possible with a diving fielder because he takes a bit of time to recover. Not on that occasion, as Khosa was quick to clasp it and get the throw in.
Katane Clark wore 18 in the first innings, now wearing number 49, keeping us on our toes here in the commentary position. Zakil sprays that one with the upper edge, and that's headed towards our fans out at third man. That'll be a 4 and another boundary here to complete the over. A 6 and a 4 from it to go along with a 2 and a wide, Suhas.
The distance that the ball covered, it's seen 3 different kinds of terrain as well in this exploration. The grass, cement and gravel. How much of trouble would it cost the ball is another question.
We saw Katane Clark earlier on today bypassing all of it and landing one on the gravel on the fly. That one over our heads. We were thrilled to at least dodge any damage. Productive over there for the Silicon Valley Strikers. 36 for no loss through 4. Change of ends for Elmore Hutchinson coming at you from the San Pedro, and with the ball by ball, I'll turn things over for the next few overs to Suhas Vedam.
Hutchinson gets a change of ends as we get a change in role in the comm box. No slip in place for Hutchinson, but will generate that extra bounce. Cautiously tapped away. A couple of boundaries, the last couple of boundaries haven't been very convincing from strikers. They're getting them nonetheless, and that's what is more important for them.
Well, I'll say that ball worked off the hip and the quick single. A little bit more of the power play version of Unmukt Chand we're accustomed to seeing here in Morgan Hill. He strikes at just 116 inside the power play ordinarily, but may have a bit of a different mission today, knowing how thinned out the batting has become down the order. Particularly Graham going to be unable to go. Just too much pain in that pinky finger. Was trying to put the gloves on. I had a chance to talk to him between innings. They will not have his services today.
That means Unmukt Chand has more responsibility on his shoulders. And you will see him calculate the aggression. Just throwing caution to the winds. That's a beautiful delivery as it follows the batter. Teases the outside edge. Now this game is getting nicely spiced up, and I'm very sure Lakshmi House of Spices would be happy about it. Elmore Hutchinson bouncing the opponents out of the equation. Following the batter, making him sniff leather. Battle within a battle. Nice and early call, no. I'll tell you what, if pace is what this surface is aiding to, especially from San Pedro end, Sanchit Sandhu would be warming up somewhere. You want to give the ball to Sanchit Sandhu, especially when you have a little bit of swing in the air and the wind is picking up. So I think it's just nature suggesting to the captain, Sanchit's around.
It's a little surprising he hasn't bowled yet. Yeah. Actually, half of his 33 overs this season have been inside the power play.
Oh, that's gone. Not the most likeliest of deliveries to get you the wicket, but it does on this occasion. Zahid Zakil will field robbed of a boundary. Dejected, he has to depart. A wicket that SoCal Lashings wanted one way or the other. They're getting it. Created a couple of opportunities, Joe. This one lands in the lap.
Well, and certainly if Silicon Valley Strikers all season long have had maybe slower starts in the power play, but generally conserve their wickets. Zakil riding his luck a little bit. We saw the 4 earlier coming off of the top edge of the bat, and so an aggressive player, somebody willing to take a stab at a ball and try to put one around the corner like that, just not able to get the right contact. And Dale Phillips, we commented earlier, absolutely on top of everything behind the wickets, scoots to his right, pouches that one. New man strolling to the crease, no surprises at number 3, Shehan Jayasuriya, the leading scorer in all of minor league cricket, on his way out. And we'll give you a quick sense of what is strolling there. He's presently got the most runs in the league, and that's by 228 over the nearest pursuer, David White. He's got the most 4s in the league, and that's by 25 over Shayan Jahangir of Lone Star Athletics, and the 5th most 6s. He has been an absolute dynamo all season, and I'm sure will be somebody hoping to help drag this team to that total of 160, if for no other reason so he can get a rest and reload in view of the playoffs coming up in 2 weeks. .37 for 1 at the moment here as Jayasuriya steps in to partner with the captain Unmukt Chand.
Shehan Jayasuriya, we've been calling him the all-weather man. For Silicon Valley strikers, loads of experience in the middle. Elmo Hutchinson would like to efface him out of the equation as soon as possible. Shehan Jayasuriya, always itchy to get the first run and get going. Very busy cricketer. Even in Seattle, when the surface wasn't aiding batting much and he was seeing his teammates fall apart, come in and go out, he was the one who stood like a rock, scored much needed 46 and gave the runs that strikers could bowl at.
Well, and discussing too the idea of trying to remove him quickly, that is a task absolutely no one has managed to do so far this season. His low for balls faced is 14, his low for runs scored is 15 on the season. He has, with the lone exception of one match back at the start of the season, surprisingly enough, against the SoCal Lashings, no one else has managed to retire him for less than 20.
Huh. Imagine getting at least 20 if you're picking Shehan Jayasuriya.
Ackerman over there, just a single run and the wicket of Zahid Zakil, 37 for 1.
And Hutchinson done really well. Well done.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah! Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
In. Today, when Unmukt Chand was captaining the side on the field, Unmukt Chand said, if you're a spinner, Babbitt Avenue end belongs to you. Almost as if it's, you got to write it down, the tenant agreement. Anybody buys a house there, are you a spinner is one of the questions. Because if you are, then you having a treat. Harpreet Singh has been introduced into the attack. And the field that he's been given is very general. I'm concerned about the fact that Unmukt Chand loves to go inside out, and he's already shown signs of doing so against the pacer. Anything pitched up is just destined to go for 4, as he will go up and above. Not on this occasion though, doesn't get a single. Does it? He does. Why did it take a little bit extra time there, Sanchit Sandhu, to get going?
He appeared to pop up and get Sandhu in the chest on that one, so it looks like not only do we have a bouncy pitch, we also have a bouncy infield.
Shehan Jayasuriya, that's this righty-lefty combination. Back a punch. More pressure on Shehan, of course, with the middle order missing. The regular middle order missing today. So more pressure on these two, more responsibility on these two. Shehan Jayasuriya has shown the world that he thrives under pressure and he loves the extra responsibility. Slip in place for Shehan. That's gone through. That should have been a dot ball. It's been converted into 4. If you're Gran Fernando, you don't want to be looking at the bowler.
Last thing you want to do is give Shehan Jayasuriya assistance at racking up his run totals, and especially when partnered with Unmukt Chand. These two responsible back in, let's see, when was it? Back on July 9th, I believe a game that you may have been here calling as part of the premium broadcast, Suhas, put up the biggest partnership, and that is right to Fernando, just as we were saying it. Jayasuriya, for the first time all year, dismissed in single figures.
SoCal Lashings pull off a magic trick which all the other teams were looking to find. Shehan Jayasuriya departing in single figures. Gayan Fernando has got the better of his countryman. This time, a catch. Now he'd be quite happy to be in that huddle. It's come full circle.
Right, moments ago, scared to make eye contact with his bowler as he costs him a dot ball and provides the 4 to get Jayasuriya off the mark. But an even better ball following that up, gets that one airborne, and Gayan Fernando able to camp out and grab it.
Interestingly, Joe, do you believe that because of the fact that it went for 4, Shehan would have got that additional confidence that he can go for it? Another in the same region does go for it, gets it straight to Gayan.
Quite possibly. And take note here, Harpreet Singh now in his last 5 overs of work, 4 wickets recorded. Took 3 for in the match last weekend. The victory that SoCal had over the Hollywood Master Blasters. Fair bit of difference between the level of opposition today compared to that, but continuing on his merry way nonetheless.
Shehan Jayasuriya back in the heart. SoCal Lashings would believe they can tighten the clasp. They can tighten the grasp. Slip in place. Dale Phillips looking to attack. Well, I'll tell you what, with Shehan back in the hut so early, you've got to say that in the last 2 games, Silicon Valley strikers haven't been tested as much as the entire tournament. Pranay Suri, who usually inherits a better scorecard because of Shehan, who gets going. Yeah, you could see the fielders are buzzing now. SoCal Lashings.
Even just hearing it from here, I think we caught a little bit of a breeze as a result of everyone on the field simultaneously going, ooh, as that one pinged off of Suri's pads.
Well done. Joe, you've thrown in the hat to join the choir. Catch it is the call. But how is the question that's gone through for 4? Pranay Suri would have had his heart in his mouth, but he's got it in the gap, and that's what matters for strikers.
Just
extra bounce.
Just wide of his former teammate Dilpreet Billing over at third man. After a few tight deliveries.
Dillon, right? Billing, Dillon.
Yeah, last year would have been celebrating that boundary. This year has been asked to fetch it. Dilpreet. End of the over. Mind you, Harry is also somebody who's got that extra bounce. He's got the height, he doesn't let it show.
Well, with that, 46 for 2 to finish the power play, level on scoring. 1 more wicket down than SoCal Lashings had at this stage.
What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Power play restrictions of the first would be lifted. 46 for 2 at the end of 6 overs. Silicon Valley strikers will take it. They've timed their aggression despite losing 2 important wickets. And most importantly for Silicon Valley strikers is that they've got Unmukt Chand in the middle, who can bat according to the situation, as he realizes that the batting order after him might be a little fragile, as they're missing the services of Raymond Reefer and Primus, who've made the cut to be in the 11 most of the time, Joe.
Absolutely, and Pranay Suri at the other end as well, a 34 and a 37 in 2 of his last 3 innings.
Beautiful.
So they'll be looking for something out of him. That one just through the legs of the man at backward point, and a single to start for Unmukt Chand.
The Pranay Suri's got a boundary, but I'm not sure how well settled he'd feel after that one. Still to be getting that convincing boundary. Pranay Suri, oh, what great talent. He scored centuries for fun, when he's playing in the Bay Area. A beautiful shot indeed. This was all about authority. Just in case you had any doubts, Pranay Suri has put that ball away with disdain.
Yeah, his first boundary hung in the air a little bit too long for the liking of anybody watching here. I think everybody saw it as practically the mirror image of the wicket of Jayasuriya and held their breath for a moment. This one along the deck, no problems at all. Easily through for the 4.
He's able to operate with minimum width as well, Joe. It's always a great sign for a batter. This one didn't bounce as much and did not go cross-batted.
I started to say not afraid to make use of his feet to get that extra bit of room to cut it away. And he has been a boundary machine as of late. Those 2 matches, the 34 and the 37 that I mentioned, 5 4s as part of that 34, 2 4s and 3 long bomb 6s last week as part of the 37.
Wanted to be cheeky. It's the second time he wanted to be cheeky and that didn't come off. Unmukh Chand would need a much required walk towards the leg side just to gather some thoughts, talk to himself.
Looked like a pinball flipper.
Oh well, it's not coming off today. Twice in 2 balls. I think it's a shot which sort of course releases pressure if it goes for 4, but you also play with the mind of the opposition captain because you want to induce a field change, Joe.
Excuse me, and Chand looking for that. That's an airborne one, and a chance as well at the bowler's end. Umpire has not given it. Perhaps a little delay there as Billing collected and guided that toward the stumps. If it had been a bit quicker of a sweep, he might have had him.
Unmukh Chand survives 2 scares for that single within a span of 2 seconds.
Nervy ending to over number 7. 7 from it, 53 for 2.
Ooh, what a good ball.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Bordering on disdainful there. Reads it on length, gets the bat out in front, out to the pitch of the ball, and destroys on a line out there to square leg.
Leaning into this one. Now gets into building an innings. One to get the adrenaline up. one to promise himself he wants to play a longer innings. Now, Pranay Suri, of course, he knows that he's got runs in this over already. This team's got runs in this over. Oh, very well done. Taking the fielder on, picking up a single still. Captain trusting.
As we mentioned, these two are going to be very important going forward. The only remaining batsman that's had an appreciable amount of experience this season and success is Rahul Jariwala.
Oh, yeah. And doesn't pick it up at all. An easy single. This game's getting into a zone where singles are more ubiquitous. And singles are a denomination that both sides wouldn't mind at the moment.
Silicon Valley easing their way now within 100 runs of the total to get.
Catch it was the call for some reason. But it's one of the truths of the game that the square leg fielder cannot the square leg umpire cannot double up as a fielder. It went right above his head. Into the over with that single. It's been an eventful over, 64 for 2.
Thank you. According to me, it's 53 for 2.
Yeah.
Okay, 64 for 2. At the end of 8 overs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, perfect. Both of them were 64 for 2.
That's right.
At the end of 8 overs. But there was a pacer bowling at that time.
They were 64 for 2 at the end of 9.
9 overs.
Yeah.
I did 8 overs. Okay.
Still have 4 runs ahead.
64 for 2. Silicon Valley Strikers, as Dilpreet will continue to operate from San Pedro end. The SoCal Lashings, while they were batting, they got to 64 for 2 in 9 overs. So Silicon Valley Strikers comparatively quicker to churn out the same figures. Now Dilpreet wants that slight adjustment made to the field. He wants the short third man to be as square as possible. Swept away nicely, and he's chosen a very good area. This is trouble for SoCal Lashings. Well fielded with some football skills in the deep, and he's bowled it back to the keeper. Perhaps it's a sign for the captain to use him soon.
Classy shot there to work. Classy shot to work that one back to square leg, and
will get that single here. Now Pranay Suri's break-free shot, if you see, Joe, most of the time is a sweep shot. And what I like about him is the fact that he usually plonks his foot outside the line to not make him a candidate for LBW.
That's a good technique if you can take away at least one mode of dismissal.
But Dilpreet is keeping it tight and bowling it straight now. He doesn't want any more sweep shots. It's one of the most irritating things for a spinner to see the sweep being played. Not only does it induce a field change, but it also means you've got to bowl at a different batter suddenly. And the only way you would like to bowl as a different batter is by picking up wickets, not by giving them a single.
Well, a pair of dots here to try to anchor Pranay Suri to the crease. 4 so far off the over. Not bad for Billings so far. 11 off of 10 balls. Far cry from his usual economy. That one, I think, going down leg. The appeal comes, though, and certainly knowing the value of taking out Pranay Suri at this point, you're going to appeal vociferously for every possibility.
Oh, absolutely. SoCal Lashings know the importance of wickets against Silicon Valley Strikers. At times they had never-ending batting lineups. Never-ending. Now they understand that 3 of the main men are missing, who provide that cushion and bolster the middle order. So more responsibility for the men up top. That's going away for 4. Today Pranay Suri has come out with an insurance for the cut shot.
Absolutely lovely bit of work to cut that one away, knowing where the fielders aren't. That's the name of the game in cricket. Hit it where they ain't. And yes, a 4 there to double the scoring of that over. That'll leave it at 72 for 2 through 9.
him as well. These are the interesting points which will make this contest even more interesting. All that Unmukt needs to do is pick up a single. We'll get it this time around. Khosa wants to trouble the batter. He's coming back for two. Unmukt gets two despite the throw being as quick and straight as possible. This is excellent running. If you're a kid watching cricket, this is how you run.
Now, determination and decisiveness right from the get-go. No doubt in Chan's mind, immediately thinking about two and putting the pressure on the fielders. And we saw a ton of overthrows in the first innings. An opportunity here when you know you can make it to induce the same.
Not quite sure if Dale was in the right position as well to collect the throw, because that was coming directly. Just from the angle that we were able to witness, it looked like it will take the stumps. And you never know with direct hits. Unmukt does well, did the basics right as well to drag the bat, just to keep the fielders on their toes. And what was very surprising for me is the fact that Unmukt didn't hit it for a single. He hit it with, it was a full blood shot. Hit with a lot of power. Still had the time to come back for the second run. Just tells you the fitness of the man.
Third man up in the circle now, and Skandar Rohit Sharma.
Skandar Rohit Sharma. It's almost a name that you find regularly amongst runs with the bat in hand. Today doesn't get an opportunity with the bat. In fact, wasn't even in the side when the team toured to San Diego. He's not having the best of his season, of course, in Houston as well. Was getting starts but not converting. Skandar Rohit Sharma. A different kind of a batter when it's a 50-over format, though.
Without doubt. And some of the perhaps sophomore blues that we were seeing as well with Sanjay Krishnamurthy and the like.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of thing.
Shot.
Oh, my goodness. Gorgeous cut. Backward point and forget it. Or excuse me, third man, rather, and forget about it.
Oh, elegance at its best. Unmukt standing tall, negotiating extra bounds and opening the face of the bat. Just reminds me of the shots that he played when he was covering his game in Mumbai, D.Y. Patil Stadium. Same region, same stroke. Just gets into lovely positions. But of course, a pitch that was offering a little bit more bounce compared to this. Went on to score a terrific century. Today, a different kind of an innings is required from him. That's straight as possible. Suri does well to hop out of the way. It's one of those feel-good shots. Not so much if you're the bowler. 79 for 2.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, good comeback ball there for Guyan Fernando. I mean, long partnerships have been the way of it in the middle overs for this Silicon Valley Strikers team. In fact, yes, at the moment, the partnership, let's do the quick math, 80 minus 42, 38 runs so far for the two of them. And Silicon Valley Strikers have put up, for the third wicket, a total of 4 50 partnerships, topped by Zakil and Jayasuriya back in the 4th of July weekend against Michigan Cricket Stars, going for 105. And Chand has been involved in a ton of big partnerships as well, including the biggest one of this season.
And he had the best seat in the house to witness magic from the other end. Unmukh Chand would be quietly noticing the extra bounce that Guyan Fernando can provide as well. Guyan Fernando played his part in removing his fellow countryman from the equation, Shehan Jayasuriya. The fans up in Kandy. Oh, that would go through. That's the extra bounce, the extra pace used against the bowler. And today, as we talked about, Pranay Suri walking out to bat with immunity to the cut shot.
And continuing to motor along here, Silicon Valley Strikers, that's the 6th consecutive over with at least one boundary. They've managed to continue to find at least that one nice piece of cricket each over, and otherwise work in singles and doubles and put away and survive the balls that might threaten to remove someone. So far, Suri and Chand settling in nicely at the crease.
I tell you what, Suri has been floating in and out of the convincing boundary, not convincing boundary at the cut shot. Oh, this is authority at its best. Picked up and posted, and that's a parcel that strikers would enjoy receiving.
Convinced now, Suhas?
Oh, yes. Absolutely, yes. Standing tall. And just dismissing it with a lot of disdain. The Silicon Valley Strikers now getting a move on. After a boundary, gets a 6 as well. Pranay Suri. Again, Fernando, nice enough to start his run up again as he realized Pranay Suri was looking down. Catch it is the call, but that was well short of the fielder at extra cover. Again, Fernando had to make sure that he comes back well. Does so. Still runs are flowing for the Strikers. 90 for 2. On 90 for 2. The Silicon Valley Strikers getting into a lovely position indeed. The partnership has bloomed. They needed a half-century partnership, isn't it? It's come at the right time for Silicon Valley Strikers, batting with a lot of cricketing sense there.
Well, still 2 runs shy of the half-century partnership, so don't go commentator cursing it just yet here, Suhas.
Oh, yes. Now, Dale Phillips knows the importance of a wicket at this stage, not just to break the partnership, but to get some momentum. There were moments where SoCal Lashings were buzzing. Now the shoulders seems to be drooping a little bit, and the only thing that can change is a moment of brilliance on the field or a wicket. So not the only thing, perhaps 2 things there. Now slight change in the field. Skandar Rohit Sharma has been asked to provide his services as a fielder at a very wide third-man region. He would be of no use if that's the line.
I have to believe that that came out of the hand wrong from Sanchit Sandhu.
I thought you were going to say that came out of the wrong hand. That's our game, isn't it? What could be the worst delivery for a right-hander could be the best one for a lefty. Straying down the leg side on that occasion, Sanchit Sandhu needs to recalibrate his line in length. That's a poor delivery. That'll be put away. It's got 2 runs written all over it. In fact, more if he doesn't get there. Will tease the fielders to the fence. Oh, what a good shot. Just helped it on its way. Didn't try to hit it hard at all. It's one of those boundaries where you get a lot of satisfaction because you've made the opponents run towards it to the last moment.
Yeah, we've certainly seen a few where the opponent just stands still and say, well, that's gone. I'm not going to mess with that. And yeah, here you get to tire them out and pick up the 4 runs.
So which boundary are you a connoisseur of? The one that just trickles over the fence, teasing you to the last moment, or the one where you wonder who's going to fetch it?
Well, as a lover of all things dramatic, I'm a big fan of the yeah.
Now this one just lobbed up in the air, but no problem for Unmuk Chand on that occasion. Once again, they get the boundary early on in the over, Joe. Sorry to cut you off there, but they get the early boundary, and that means they can nurdle the ball around in the entire over, and the risk factor just becomes minimal.
Exactly, and if something gets served up on a proper length to be put away, you go for it then. But otherwise, absolutely, you can be content with even a few dot balls if that's what it takes to work through a good delivery.
Oh, very good delivery. You got to bowl to your strengths as any cricketer for that matter, any bowler. And Sanchit Sandhu is realizing that. Started by spraying the ball all around, one down the leg side, and then the other one just sitting up and asking to be hit on the leg side. You don't want to be playing catch-up cricket, especially when you're playing against strikers. Unmuk Chand. He's got lovely rhythm at the moment and will help it on its way once again. Receives another gift. This is Christmas come early for Unmuk Chand. Anything on the leg side is just destined to go for 4. With fine leg inside the circle, Gayan had no chance whatsoever.
Unmuk Chand creeping up on a half-century himself, a few balls after the half-century partnership indeed came up. That was all I was going to tell you earlier,
well
Suhas,
done.
as we didn't jinx them after all. 45 now from 36 for Unmuk Chand.
Imagine all that effort in setting a field on the offside and you're bowling on the leg side. The opposition skipper says thank you very much. It's just continuing to happen. And the way he's gone about scoring those boundaries is by exposing himself to minimum risk as well. It is not doing a world of good to SoCal Lashings. Dale Phillips is considerably frustrated. Sanchit Sandhu hasn't been his best.
Yeah, the body language changing a little bit there behind the wicket, and of course he's got the best seat in the house to see when the bowling plan is not quite executed to plan.
Again worked off his hips. He's almost covering the off-stump line now. Wants to take that second run. And Unmuk Chand does it with so much ease. He had gotten to the striker's end 5 seconds before Pranay Suri could get to the other. 3 figures up for Silicon Valley strikers. 101 for 2.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
I'm going to jump in.
Philadelphia 132 for 2. Wow. Philadelphians. Chicago Tigers. Easily. I think Chicago Tigers have gone through.
Not.
Huh? If you,
No. Let's talk about it a little bit.
okay. 159.
A change of ends for Harpreet Singh, who will be bowling from the San Pedro end as we hit over number 13. Silicon Valley strikers now with the partnership of 59 between Chand and Suri, and 59 runs left to reach the target and claim the Western Division Championship for their own. At the moment, you'd have to imagine somewhere in the ballpark of 65-35, 70-30 advantage on WinViz right about now. First delivery, though, is a good one to Suri. A dot ball from Harpreet Singh. That one, on the other hand, a bit too wide, and he'll be lucky to have it chased down at the point boundary. Good work by cover sweeper. That'll just be a single.
I think Harpreet Singh has done his job really well with the ball in hand. And that is exactly why you go with him even if he's not feeling his best with the bat. He can eke out those wickets and bring you back into the game.
Indeed, had the wicket of Shehan Jayasuriya. He has traveled a bit for boundaries so far today. He's given up 2 4s and a 6. Chand splitting the field again behind on the offside. That's going to roll all the way to the boundary for 4, and that brings up Unmuk Chand's half century.
Well compiled innings, and innings under pressure as well. Understands the importance of the half century at this stage, but will continue to play the way that he usually does. A fragile batting lineup to follow, not the tried and tested one. And the captain steps up and takes charge.
And that his 5th time over the 50 mark. He's managed to convert that into 100. Also a 94 not out on opening day, just ran out of runs to be obtained at that point.
Yeah, it's one of those instances where you're batting so well and you're sad that you have no more runs left to score.
Like, could we just keep doing this all day?
Yeah, Shehan was similar. I was in Houston, and unfortunately I wasn't covering that game. Or fortunately I was covering the other one. And I realized I was just near Shehan when he just walked in. He was looking very frustrated, having scored a century. It's the first time I've looked at a batter see that frustrated after scoring a century, because there were no more runs left to score.
Well, especially if you've got a high score you could potentially take aim at. Right now, I believe Chandrapal Hemraj still the standard bearer at 130. Yeah. But Jayasuriya has been in that ballpark twice. He's got the 3rd and 5th highest scores of the season. Chand, over at the non-strikers end, has number 6 on the season at 104 not out. Single there from Pranay Suri. That's going to bring the over to an end. 7 off the bat, plus the wide, 111 for 2.
How many overs? 19? 12, 9.
One, two, three.
13 overs gone. 111 for 2. The Nelson once again. I'll tell you what, SoCal Lashings just cruised through the Nelson. They didn't think of it as a superstition at all. The Silicon Valley strikers, they hardly have one eye on the scoreboard. Both of them are just batting the situation at the moment. Captain getting to a half century would boost his confidence, as Suri's trying to feed the captain the strike as much as possible, because the game's getting into that zone where it's about one big partnership to keep them in the hunt. Remember, the batting order that is to follow hasn't been tested much. They're missing the services of Reefer and Primus. It's up to these two set batters to set the game up as well for Silicon Valley strikers. And every time the captain has glanced at the dugout, he's just given them a glance of reassurance.
Nothing like having the calm of a World Cup winning captain out there at the center to make sure that you know you can get this done. Of course, they've gotten it done on 11 occasions so far this season, coming in at 11-1.
It's been one of the hallmarks of his batting today, not just the boundaries, but sneaking and stealing singles of that kind. As far as SoCal Lashings are concerned, they've just let this single be pilfered. It went straight to the fielder inside the 30-yard circle, but not a clean grasp, and that would mean a Pranay Suri, who's got a little bit of a start from the non-strikers end, will get there with momentum.
I do have a question for you, Suhas, after this next delivery to Pranay Suri. That'll be worked over to the vacant mid-wicket area. Another single to be taken. Suhas, you've mentioned this Nelson thing twice, and as an American cricket fan, that is a foreign word to me.
Oh, okay.
Would you mind explaining for those that might not be familiar with that?
Sure. Nelson 111 got its name because of General Horatio Nelson, who seems to have lost one eye and one leg and one something else in a battle, and that's how the Nelson came up to be. It's considered a superstition because one of our very famous umpires, David Shepherd from the UK, used to hop when there was 111 showing up on the board. because you tend to lose a wicket when 111 is up on the board. Or for Josh, the Aussie around us, he would consider 83 as the devil's number because it's 13 away. 87? Oh yeah, 87. 87. Oh yeah, because it's 13 away from what is a century. So when a batter reaches 87, nobody moves in the dugout.
I'll tell you, between the wealth of statistics and the numerology in this sport, it's no wonder that it caught my imagination 4 years ago.
So next time it's 111, Joe, we're expecting you to give us a hop in the commentary box. They quickly go past that as well. Superstitions are there just for a reason. Here are two men who are not thinking about 111. The mission they're on is called 160.
5 so far off of this over, pushing the total to 116. They can certainly see it within grasp at this point. And again, the stakes today for Silicon Valley Strikers, a victory means a official mathematical clinching of the Western Division title and would assure them of at least 2, perhaps 3 matches, depending on what's needed, here 2 weeks from now in the first round of the minor league cricket postseason.
Abhimanyu Rajbro has kept things tight and quiet. And this game's getting into a zone where you're converting singles into twos. Will he get there again? I don't think the second one's possible. It's a hallucination. Oh, what a clean collect by the bowler. It was more style quotient that shone through. End of the over with that single, 117 for 2.
Seattle Thunderbolts are 79 for 4 and they're going to finish it off.
That's
Let's go mark it again.
Let's talk a little bit about that in a second.
I think the game would be left.
Hi mate, are you at the game? Keep
Bye.
an eye on have a look at
17 for 2 with 6 overs left. The target now sitting 43 runs away. Silicon Valley just barely needing over 7s from this point forward to try to secure victory. And of course, we've got double barrel action going on today at Morgan Hill. Seattle Thunderbolts closing in on the other field on a victory over the San Diego Surf Riders. That a bit of a mishit off to the side, off the underside of the bat from Surrey. He'll survive to fight another day.
He's experimented a little bit with the change in the release point here. Harpreet Singh, and this game's getting into a zone where singles would suffice for Silicon Valley Strikers because the boundaries have been dried up. Just treating the ball according to his merit. There are different phases of the game. One when you go all in. Other when you're mending the innings. This is just about elongating this partnership before they can just pick and choose one bowler to target to get the equation under control.
Single here, but indeed the last couple overs, no boundaries after they were starting to go at 2 boundaries per for a little while. Moved away from the pace bowling of Sanchit Sandhu and Gayan Fernando and have now gone spin from both ends between Harpreet and Raj Purohit.
They're taking the first one really hard, but I don't think the second one is possible. You could almost sense if the second one's possible or no when you look at the batter who's hit it, because the non-striker was excited to come back. Pranay Suri, it's taking a toll on him, all these singles it seems. Mind you, it's getting nice and hot out there. And as this quiet single is taken, straight to the fielder, still that single's possible. This is good running between the wickets, good cricket all around in fact, as the dispatch was as quick as it gets to. Now as this single is taken, the game alongside Seattle Thunderbolts versus the San Diego Surf Riders has come to an end. The Thunderbolts cruising towards victory. They had to chase about 98 runs and they seems to have done it. They seem to have done it with a lot of overs to spare. Will do a world of good to their net run rate.
Absolutely, and it does look like the second place race is likely to become a net run rate drag race as the two teams are definitely poised to potentially finish 11-3. Not terribly difficult opposition left in front of them and currently tied in the loss column.
And just as any race would demand, good Sunoco. Get that in your tank. 122 for 2.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Abhimanyu Rajpurohit will stay on at the Barrett Avenue end. Gave up 6 singles in his last over. And at the moment, the partnership up to 80 between Suri and Chand, and the total to obtain 38 runs away. First delivery of the over gives it a little bit of flight, and Suri deposits that one. Excuse me, my mistake. I was seeing things for a second there. Never mind. That was straight on through. No bat on that at all. Got confused by the response I heard from the crowd for a moment there. It's mostly the Lashings themselves.
Shot.
Either that or I was just clairvoyant. That one shot straight back over the bowler's head. That'll make it on a hop, a 4 for Pranay Suri as the total creeps ever closer. 34 now to get.
He's chosen a very good area, very safe area to get the runs. Pranay Suri started off with a flurry of cut shots. Now he's targeting the straighter boundaries where it's difficult to place a fielder. But he's decided to use his feet. And Abhimanyu Rajpurohit would have made a mental note of that. It's the second time he's attempted to do so and succeeded. Catch it is the call. Catch and he's getting around it. He'll pouch the catch. A wicket at the right time for SoCal Lashings. They believe it can bring another. Rajpurohit, the man with the golden arm. As Suri, who gets off to a great start and was contributing very healthily to this partnership, will have to depart for a well-made 40.
Indeed, top score of the season for Pranay Suri, coming on the back, as we said, of 2 scores over 30 in his last 3 innings.
Yeah.
He's been very effective, but it's going to fall, it appears, to Mohammad Irfan Jr. On his way out. And we're going to say this while we can, because it may not be the case in about 2 minutes. But Irfan, at the moment, minor league cricket's leader in strike rate, if you put no conditions at all on who qualifies.
Okay.
He faced 4 balls to end an innings down in Texas and hit them for a combined 20 runs, including 3 consecutive sixes. So he's striking at 500 right now. There was a part of me that kind of didn't want to see him bat again this season just to maintain that. But another tool in the shed will absolutely be welcome at this point, as we've mentioned, with the absence of Primus and Reefer down the lineup and Gary Graham nursing an injury to a finger picked up earlier in today's game.
More concerns for Unmukh Chand as more responsibility mounts on him to score the runs. 34 in 27. A string of dot balls can change the equation very drastically. Unmukh Chand wouldn't want to take it deep, but he's got to be very careful of the ball he picks and chooses to go for the big shot. Abhimanyu Rajpurohit almost snatching the ball from the captain, saying, give me one, I can provide the wicket, and boy does he deliver. Did get hit for a 6, but that's the responsibility that you would want to assume. He's a big match player, Abhimanyu. Of course, he's got the caliber to have played the international level for USA. He's just bringing all that experience into play.
Of course, one of the things this may do is dry up some of the singles that have been on offer here too with the new partnership. Maybe with certainly with no experience batting with one another. There is one work to the square leg area, and they are going to try to come back for 2. Chance that the wicketkeeper's end, and the finger goes up. That'll be all for Mohammad Irfan, a platinum duck without facing a ball.
Does that do a world of good to the stats that you were talking about? He hasn't faced it, the strike rates, what you were concerned about. There you go. I think he's made you happy more than anybody else. And if Irfan can't get to the other end with a man who runs in all the time for a living, it wasn't a single at all.
They do pick up the one off of it there, 5 from the over, but 2 wickets. And the possibility of things changing quite drastically, 127 for 4.
Let's go, birthday boy!
He's out.
Gary Graham putting his pains behind, all set to do a Graham Smith perhaps, nursing an injury, but will come out to bat. Would be interesting to see if he uses that bottom hand to get the power that he usually generates to make any ground in the world look minuscule. But today, Gary Graham, number 333, is got a different kind of a task in front of him. It is not about getting to a respectable total, but it's getting towards the total that has already been put towards his team. 160 is the magical number that they're after, and Unmukh Chand just wants Gary Graham to be the rock of assurance, to stay there at the other end and be the extra pair of hands that Unmukh needs to get this done.
Yeah, even a handful of boundaries, a 4 here, a 6 there would be absolutely sufficient at this point. Chand certainly with the quality to take care of the other 25 odd runs.
Would want to see if SoCal Lashings make the most of the fact that here is a batter who's come out to bat with a weak bottom hand. If you bowl in the toes, if you make him drive the ball a little bit more, then you're playing to the strengths, because that's when the forearm is used. If you make him cut the ball a little bit more, that is when you would be up top. And for someone who loves to use the bottom hand to go straight down the ground as well, if you hit the good length area, you are sorted. But I do not see Dale Phillips and his men pick up on that. Reason being, the field is set for an easy single on the leg side. And all he needs to do is just walk across and tuck it away.
And they're going to stick with Dilpreet Billing here, or rather, they're going to bring in Dilpreet Billing, but stick with spin for a 5th consecutive over, and that really has dried things up as of late. They did take 10 in the 13th over, but since then 6, 5, and then 5 and 2 wickets off the last 3 overs. They've slowed things to a bit of a trickle. The run rate required now up to 8.
Unmukh Chand is very itchy to get to the strikers in there. Gary Graham just getting a feel. It's good that his hand is not quivering. After he plays that, usually when you're in pain, you just take that bottom hand away. Seems to be holding the handle with both the hands, which is a great sign indeed. Those magical pills have done the job. Oh, what a good shot! And has it traveled the distance? We'll wait.
Indeed it has.
It indeed has. What's the fuss about a 9-finger approach to batting? Here is a man who's put his pains behind and is delivering everything that has been asked of him, and sometimes above and beyond the call of duty. Here is a lesson for the youngsters watching. The birthday boy doing it in style.
Say 40 years young, Gary Graham here. Putting on an immediate clinic and showing you, as you said, 9 fingers, 1 hand. That's all you need at this point with that kind of power.
He's still going at it. He's playing his favorite shots. He's treating pain as an afterthought. Perhaps it'll be sweet pain if it travels the distance.
There'll be all sorts of time to rest up if Silicon Valley can get over this line.
Oh, he's gone at it again and will get the boundary too. Graham has walked out the bat just the way he usually does. And he's going about his business just the way he usually does. Hit the ballers out of the park, hit them out of the equation. A dent in confidence for Dilpreet. He needs to come back here after being taken to the cleaners by Gary Graham. Oh, he's hitting the ball very, very hard. You are quite a batter. Now it's paining. You could sense that it's paining, but he's got some time to nurse that pain, to put it behind. You know you're quite a batter when you're not 100% and you're nursing an injury. Still, the fielders are lurking at the edge of the boundary rope.
Even standing over the top of it just for the psychological edge of knowing you might have that much more room to cover.
Unmukh Chand has tried this all day. For a man who's just sticking to textbook and scoring a lovely century, behind the wicket hasn't been his best place to go.
Well, 11 runs off that over from Gary Graham, who hacks away 1/3 of the remaining total with just 3 swings. There's your 3, 3, and 3. 22 needed still, 138 for 4.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go Rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
22 required, right? 18 balls?
22, that's right.
Dale Phillips, he knows how to take the game as close as possible, and that can happen with dot balls. He's throwing it to Elmo Hutchinson as he realizes the game is made or given and gifted to the opposition in this over. The importance of this over is immense, especially with the momentum with the men in blue, the strikers. 22 required of 18 balls, and Unmuk Chand knows that if he gets to stay there for 18 balls and face at least half of them, he'll try and get them through. He will breathe easy as he realizes Gary Graham has looked solid so far.
Yeah, they may not need many swings out of Gary the way he's currently taking aim at this, and it's characteristic of what he's done all season. A 202 strike rate that is practically the same against pace and against spin. It doesn't matter what you put up against him, but even more so, you get to the death overs where we are right now, 232 the strike rate for Graham. Absolute attack all the time.
Gary Graham, that's the kind of cricket he teaches to the kids as well. Be as attacking as possible. Gary Graham against Elmo Hutchinson. Oh, as straight as possible. Elmo Hutchinson being helped by the falling stump as the ball doesn't go far away. That's something that you have to see with the ricochet. You never know where the ball's going. It's good that Elmo Hutchinson, the tall Hutchinson, didn't get even a finger on it. Otherwise, Unmuk Chand would have been in trouble.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Gary Graham, as hard as he hit that, I don't think there's much chance of Chand getting back with a hit like that.
But again, it was bludgeoned, Joe. This 9-finger effort to batting is contributing quite a lot. The slower delivery when the batter expected it the least. He's got to run nonetheless and would be ready for that as well. Unmuk Chand just suggesting no ball watching.
Be a leg by there to get him to the other side, give Unmuk Chand a chance here against Elmore Hutchinson. Of course, Hutchinson in here at the death generally does take 2 of these death overs, either 17 and 19 or 18 and 20. And so far on the season, 10 of his 13 wickets have come in these final 5 overs, striking at 1 wicket every 10.5 deliveries. And that's what they need right now. One of these 2 needs to go if SoCal's going to defend this total.
I'm very interested in seeing Unmuk's approach here. If it is there in the slot, would he still go for it or wants to take it deep? It is there in the slot, and he's whipped it away. And well, the ball's dodged with a lot of torque. Elmo Hutchinson cannot believe it. Yes, he got it terribly wrong with the ball, but that one had enough torque to spin away from Khosa Rajveer. Unmuk Chand doesn't mind this one at all. Whipped away for 4.
Off the bat, I thought it was going to land in the soccer net out past the man at mid-wicket, and then, yeah, indeed, a ton of English on that one, spinning clear of the young man.
Dude, a ton of English.
The equation under control for the strikers, and will also eke out those extra deliveries like this with added pressure. Elmo Hutchinson cannot believe it. On one instance, you had the umpire and the bowler with outstretched arms, both in different kind of mood. Would you believe it? Elmo Hutchinson, he thought he flirted less with the tram line. He was quite all right with that delivery. But this wide delivery would mean equation well under control. A run granted without a ball being counted.
16 off 15 now.
Or elegance, just helping it on its way. Gets it in the gap. Full tosses when Yorkers are required. We've got a butcher at one end and a surgeon at the other.
And that's, of course, the danger. You reach this point where it's got to be wicket-taking balls to really have much of a chance, and they are so easy to get wrong, particularly on length.
His eyes went agog immediately as he saw another full toss being hurled towards him. Just helped it on its way. That is the presence of mind of the skipper.
As you said, no need to try to hit big at this point, but if it's there, go for it.
Just checked his shot there. Oh, very well played. Very compact as he negotiated the extra bounce. Will pick up a single, and a single will suffice for the strikers. Not only are they getting it done, they're getting it done with a couple of overs to spare, at least an over to spare, you might say. 12 required in 2.2. 12 required of 14 balls. The question is, can Phillips try and eke out a wicket here? Only that can keep this game in the balance, because Gary Graham is looking to finish this in 2 balls. Mind over matter. Gary Graham's writing a book after this innings. That is a statement. And Phillips collects it above his head. One more delivery to go.
What is it done?
I do believe that is the end of the over there. Again, the delayed update on our end sometimes here on the statistics, but indeed 148 for 4, 2 overs left, 12 needed off the final 12 deliveries.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
$149 for 4 Silicon Valley strikers. Gary Graham is striking at 137.5, and it's the lowest strike rate he's ever recorded once he gets going. 11 of 8 is still good enough. And the manner in which he got to 11 is so demoralizing for the bowlers. Sanchit Sandhu gets a change of ends. He wants to bring a change of fortune as well. Sanchit Sandhu was straying down the leg side, and the man on strike, Unmukh Chand, was quite happy accepting the gifts that he received, just putting it away with a sense of ease. And Dale Phillips is making the trip down to the bowlers early. Once again, the to and fro. To deliver a 3-second message this time? Oh yes, absolutely. Dale Phillips, and he's the skipper. He's got to keep track of time.
So cricket needs to invest in those that pitch comm system they're using now in baseball, so that you can have that discussion without the sprint.
He's got to check the angles as well as a skipper. He's got the best seat in the house to check it as a keeper too. Slight change in field. Third man drops back. Unmukh Chand is giving it a cursory glance. He wants to know where exactly the fielders are. Wants to keep it like a back of his hand. A big headache taken off Unmukh Chand is the fact that Gary Graham's not a muck with a bat in hand. He is looking 100% despite the injury early on. Change in field. He's taking his own sweet time here, Sandhu, to get the field right.
Yeah, it looks like moving the man at long off a bit wider.
And fine leg this way. Fine legs one squarer.
Catney Clark will get around it. Unmukh Chand's content with the single. Unmukh Chand doesn't want to leave the crease before 160 is achieved. And that is exactly why the half century wasn't even a landmark for him. Now Gary Graham has got the license to go for the big shot because that's the way he bats.
We got calls coming from the gallery, knowing he could get it done in 2 strokes here.
Sandhu knows that he's up against a man who's walked out with a sledgehammer. Can he bowl the slower delivery? It is a slow ball Yorker, delivered to perfection. An appeal from Dale Phillips, who believes there was a bit of pad first. Umpire stands still. And it is Gary Graham who's trying to back away as well. Now we'll have a word of calmness from Unmukh Chand. Perhaps it's about the fact that we have enough deliveries to get this done.
An impressive work by Graham in that moment, knowing how hard he tends to throw his shots and how difficult it is to stop or pull out of them or go into more of a block mode from that, to get something on that, to keep it from reaching the stumps and to keep it from hitting his pads first.
His back lift is very, very high, and considerably and understandably so. Oh, poor delivery. It helped it on its way. For a man who can dig out things to go for 6, this is just helping him. You put a bar of cherries alongside, he'll still choose this ball every time. Sanchit Sandhu is getting it terribly wrong today.
Along with everything else, managing to hit that where absolutely no one was located. So no danger, even if he didn't quite get everything behind that. Graham's got them within a shot now. 4 needed. 9 balls left to get it.
Just what Unmukh Chand had planned as well, to finish this with at least an over to spare. This team has been put in fragile positions before, but with Rafer and Primus missing, the men who mattered have stepped up. 4 required of 9 balls. Gary slaps it in front. Catney Clark will ensure it's only a single.
Notice Clark there ready to deal with the potential spin as well. A little bit of a stutter step to ensure that he didn't wind up hedging too far to his left and have that one go over the line embarrassingly to end the match.
Unmukhchand realizes his team is a pebble's throw away from what would be another good victory. But in their mind, they would have grown as a team after this. They were missing a few stars, but the team gelled together. Catch it is the call, but how is the question? That'll go for 4. Boundary to finish things off. And it comes from the man who's batted through, captain, who's led from the front to ensure 160 is conquered. And he gets there in some style.
Unmukhchand finishing off with 73 not out off of 55 balls faced. A captain's knock, if ever there was one, for Silicon Valley Strikers. Of course, that means they have claimed the Western Division crown. They are now at 12-1. They've got one match left. That'll be next Sunday when they take on the Hollywood Master Blasters for the Cricket Festival taking place in Santa Clara. They can afford to take a look at some of their younger players, take a look at some of those who haven't seen as much action, perhaps get a bit of a rest in, hopefully give Gary Graham a chance to heal, and get ready for the game that will matter. August 20th, they will be facing off most likely with the Chicago Tigers or the Michigan Cricket Stars here in Morgan Hill. Of course, a lot of cricket going on here at Morgan Hill before that and before this weekend is out.
Silicon Valley Strikers have sent a statement to all the other teams as well. There's a reason they're on top. There's a reason they're dominating the points table. That's because this team has been put into difficult situations, but they've bounced back every single time, barring one game where East Bay Blazers humbled them. Pranay Suri chipping in at the right time. The customary handshakes have begun. It's always good to see in our game. After a hard-fought game where you do not give an inch to the opposition, a handshake to sum it up. The Pranay Suri is gone well, and someone who batted through is Unmukhchand, who is led from the front in all aspects of the game.
And worth noting here, they do have a league title under their belt, but for Silicon Valley Strikers, first time they've won the West. Last year they had to battle through a 3-game series down in Texas against Austin Athletics. This time around they will get to host. Now, of course, their weekend already at an end, very early end for them. SoCal Lashings, their day isn't even over. We'll be seeing them again at 2:30 when they get ready to take on the Golden State Grizzlies, a team with a much different syllabus in mind for this afternoon. They need a victory just to keep their, at the moment, kind of meager playoff hopes alive. We hope you will join us for that. Again, 2:30 p.m. here on the Willow TV YouTube page and the MLC Network. For Suhas Vedam, who's been so wonderful with us here on commentary today, Bud Jadabans at the controls, and Andrew Grindle up on the camera work. This is Joe Hickey, hoping that we'll see you again very, very soon. Of the over coming up over the wicket from the right-handed spinner. And looking for the flick back behind. That may have missed the bails by all of 6 inches, but it is going to run all the way to the boundary. Besides, Hutchinson has bowled the first over of a match for the Lashings this season. One guided to wide of the man at fine leg, and that's going to race away to the boundary. An elegant shot from the captain. This one comes in, Chan opens the face of the bat, nobody out there, and that will fly away for a 6 on the final ball of the over. So after a really interesting spot, turning and firing is Unmukhchand, but there is a man out in the deep. He will not be able to chase it down wide of him.
I thought he would have offered the shot on that occasion, didn't bounce as much as well, perhaps. Well, this one did bounce. Zakil would have been sold a dummy, gets there just in time. Raj Purohit doesn't collect the ball, otherwise could have been a different story. We have binoculars sponsored by Dafa News. A beautiful shot.
Inside out swing from Zakil, and that is going to carry over the boundary. 49, keeping us on our toes here in the commentary position. Zakil sprays that one with the upper edge, and that's headed towards our fans out at third man. Half of his 33 overs this season have been inside the power play.
Oh, that's gone. Not the most likeliest of deliveries to get you the wicket, but it does on this occasion. Slip in place for Shehan. That's gone through. That should have been a dot ball. It's been converted into 4. If you're Gran Fernando, you don't want to be looking at the bowler.
Calling as part of the premium broadcast, Suhas put up the biggest partnership, and that is right to Fernando. Just as we were saying it, Jaya Surya for the first time all year, dismissed in single figures.
SoCal Lashings pull off. Catch it is the call. But how is the question? That's gone through for 4. Pranay Suri would have had his heart in his mouth, but he's playing in the Bay Area. A beautiful shot indeed. This was all about authority. Just in case you had any doubts. Bolster the middle order. So more responsibility for the men up top. That's going away for 4. Today, Pranay Suri.
Sophomore blues that we were seeing as well with Sanjay Krishnamurthy and the like.
Oh, yeah.
That kind
Beautiful
of thing.
shot.
Oh, my goodness. Gorgeous cut.
The fans up in Kandy. Oh, that would go through. That's the extra bounce. The extra pace used. Boundary at the cut shot. Oh, this is authority at its best. Picked up and posted, and that's a parcel that occasion Sanchit Sandhu needs to recalibrate his line in length. That's a poor delivery. That'll be put away. It's got 2 runs written all over it. In fact, more if he doesn't get there. Will tease the fielders to the fence. He's got lovely rhythm at the moment and will help it on its way once again. Receives another gift. This is Christmas come early for Unmukh Chand.
Surya, he has traveled a bit for boundaries so far today. He's given up 2 4s and a 6. Chand splitting the field again behind on the offside. That's going to roll all the way to the boundary for 4.
Abhimanyu Rajbaro has kept things tight and quiet. And this game's getting into a zone where you're converting singles into 2s. Will he get there again? I don't think the second one's possible. It's a hallucination. Oh, what a clean collect by the ball.
I heard from the crowd for a moment there. It's mostly the Lashings themselves.
Shot.
Either that or I was just clairvoyant. That one shot straight back over the bowler's head.
Oh, it would have made a mental note of that. It's the second time he's attempted to do so and succeeded. Catch it is the call. Catch and he's getting around it. He'll pouch the catch. A wicket at the right time for SoCal Lashings. They believe it can bring another. Rajpuro hit the man with the golden arm.
With the new partnership, maybe with certainly with no experience batting with one another. There is one work to the square leg area, and they are going to try to come back for 2. Chance at the wicketkeeper's end, and the finger goes up. That'll be all for Muhammad Irfan.
Both the hands, which is a great sign indeed. Those magical pills have done the job. Oh, what a good shot! And has it traveled the distance? We'll wait.
Indeed it has.
It indeed has.
There'll be all sorts of time to rest up if Silicon Valley can get over this line.
Oh, he's gone at it again and will get the boundary too. If it is there in the slot, would he still go for it or wants to take it deep? It is there in the slot and he's whipped it away. Oh, and well, the ball's dodged with a lot of torque.
16 off 15 now.
Oh, elegance. Just helping it on its way. Gets it in the gap. Full tosses. Oh, poor delivery. Helped it on its way. For a man who can dig out things to go for 6, this is just helping him. Catch it is the call, but how is the question? That'll go for 4. Boundary to finish things off. And it comes from the...
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.